I'm nervous, Dan.
Because?
Well, we have a great guest coming on today. Chris Fowler. He's one of my favorites. Matter of fact, some may say he's a colleague of mine. And I feel like, I don't know, I want to impress him. Yeah.
You've struggled there this week. Diana Rossini, Nick Wright. You're doing Zaz stuff in front of the media elite, and you've stumbled a couple times.
Yeah, and I wasn't nervous around any of them, but it's Chris Fowler. I don't know, a lot of pressure, I feel,
And so what are you worried about? Today's show is a bit crazy, right? We're ramping up until Monday when we just throw the entire kitchen sink of Gallo Ocho. Everything that has ever been in Miami is going to be thrown at Monday. But today we're warming up for that by just basically calling everyone we know for predictions. So at any point during the show, somebody can stop by, and it's just going to be, who you got? Indiana, Miami. If they say the wrong thing, we'll immediately get rid of them. If they say the correct thing, we'll talk to them for a long time. And you're worried, what, that this is going to happen during Chris Fowler?
Yes. And he won't think that that's, worth his time, He's a busy guy.
And so you think he's going to blame you instead of me on that?
Well, I think it's guilt by association at the very least, right?
Are you guys worried about this at all? Because I want to have as many voices talking about this game as possible, but that is a pretty signature voice to have, and to interrupt him for, say, I don't know, Brad Williams might be strange.
I don't know. I feel like that's exactly what we want this show to be.
It's been that kind of week.
Yeah, but Zaz is scared. It's been that kind of week, and Zaz has played nervous some this week, but he hasn't said before a show, I'm nervous.
Right, I like the show being that, but this is Chris Fowler. That's the point. This is Chris Fowler.
And we got Tony on campus. This is exciting, Dan. They actually let us on campus.
Is that right?
I don't think we told anybody. It's just a campus you can walk on.
Football is back, Jack. Oh my, we've waited for so long. We're so damn excited that we put it in a song. Don't need no check downs. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. Keep your fantasy team from falling off the track. Football is back, Jack. Whether on the ground or through the air. When the chips are down and you throw a prayer. When your team is primed and on the hunt, it's 4th and 10, you refuse to punt. When the shoulder pads and helmets crack, that's how you know that football is back, Jack. Let me hear you say, football is back, Jack. This high is wild and out of control. And we're gonna ride it every week till we reach the Super Bowl. Don't need no check downs. Give me big hits and quarterbacks. If you say this game's the best, I'll say it's a gag. Football is back, Jack. Football is back, Jack. Football is back.
Oye, Pablito, what's good, bro?
How Cuban are you, okay? Billy Corbin.
If I know anything, I know you're not Cuban.
It's Brobdingnagian.
Correcta.
It's hard to learn in South Florida about Cuban things when you live in Broward.
It's Brobdingnagian.
Name a single flaw.
He's a dork.
¿Qué ponen ahí en ese aluminum tin? Aquí vamos a ver de verdad quién es el cubano arrepentido.
Two coladas.
Dale.
It's Brobdingnagian.
Mira, una colada que compré aquí.
I don't know what talco is.
Oh, Jesus. Por tu madre.
I imagine it would be like, your mama, por tu madre.
Saludo. Más sabe el diablo por viejo que por diablo. Is this a Cuban expression?
What the hell does this mean?
¿Cómo sentimos de los huracanes?
Compota, is that like the raspberry compote they do on Great British Baking Show?
Oye, los huracanes. Guess where we're doing the party? We're doing it at Bird Bowl.
He had Cuban coffee for the very first time. He thought he was having a heart attack.
You hit la cazuela, pam, pam, pam. And that's what that is.
It's prompting Megan.
La Universidad de Miami y los huracanes viven en el corazón de nuestra familia. How'd I do?
Dave Dunn, what's your favorite Cuban dish?
¿Qué tenemos ahí? Ay, cuidado. Pastelita de guayaba, pastelita... No, guayaba no.
Is talco and baby powder the same thing?
Yes, you doofus.
All right.
What kind of Cuban are you?
Ah, pastel de coco. Are you a bread chaser? Because they have them right here, dude.
Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant.
It's prompting Megan.
I am not quite ready for everything that cometh this way. I am not ready for today's show. We've got some sound I have to get to of Darren Waller, of Eric Spoelstra, and weirdly of Dan Soder. But before we get to the bigger sounds, I need to do some calisthenics around here with just the sounds at my availability today. What sounds do I have available today to get people fired up? Okay, Jessica snoring is not a sound that's going to get anybody fired up. I thought that was doctored. People have to think that's doctored. People have to think that we're faking that. Can you get me any of the Zaz mess ups from this week?
The Packers win or the Bears lose.
Get me a different one.
Shitty, you want to know how that? What were the kids doing? Shitty, you want to know how that? What were the kids doing?
Get me fired up for the Miami game with some of the sounds that we had. Give me some different.
Ass kicks ass.
Yeah, that's a good one. Give
I
me
want to give all the glory to God.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's prompting
No,
Megan.
something bigger than that.
Oops, there goes another rubber tree plant.
Well, I'm ready.
Perfect. I'm ready now too. Let's before we get to the Spo sound, because the Heat haven't had a lot of things like this where you're watching the coach take out a player.
You didn't understand what I was trying to ask?
I would love somebody who's listening to yesterday's show. Let's play the whole sound from yesterday. Somebody who didn't hear yesterday's show and is just listening to today's. I would love for them to try to translate what Zaz was talking about here.
Shitty, you want to know how that? What were the kids doing? See, this is what I'm worried about with Fowler. Like, one of you is going to decide it's fun to play that for Fowler, and then I'm disgraced.
You mean like asking a guest what's the hardest thing about the life? The Spo sound is not something you'll see a lot of in Heat history, the coach putting his voice publicly. They keep this stuff private unless they're trying to embarrass somebody.
Dan, I don't think we've heard Eric Spoelstra speak this way about a player since Khalil Ware.
Can you guys get for me, before we get to that, though, the sound of Darren Waller on Johnny Manziel's podcast? Before we get to the stuff he had to say about Tua, which I thought was interesting, it turns out he's the guy who was in the exit meeting that I was telling you guys about that was just sitting there, and it happened the way that I told you it happened, where Waller's just sitting there across from McDaniel, and then listen to what happens next.
I was at the scene of the crime, bro. I think I was the last person that saw him before he got fired. My exit meeting was that Thursday morning, and he's like, definitely want you back next year, and we're just like reflecting on the year. And then Stephen Ross kicked the door in, and he comes in and like joins the conversation. We're just all talking, reflecting on the year. And then the conversation kind of hits a lull, and I'm sitting across the desk from Mike. Stephen Ross is standing there just kind of looking at me like,
It's time for you to get the hell out.
I looked at Mike. He was like, we'll finish this conversation later, because I didn't know they had the GM search was in full flow. I didn't know what they had big business to talk about. Like, so I go out the meeting, I go downstairs and get a massage. I come up from the massage, check my phone, he's fired. And I'm like, damn. Wow. Like,
that's fast to go from the meeting room. McDaniel thinks he has a job to coming out of the massage, and it's already in the news. Like, they've already released it, and McDaniel was the last to know.
I would have to be of the opinion that, certainly it's sloppy the way Stephen Ross handled it. Why didn't he fire him on Black Monday? Why did McDaniel have the impression that he was saying he's doing exit interviews?
African-American Monday.
But I would have to figure that the new general manager, maybe even several of them that they were interviewing, said we should move on. Like I would go in a different direction. I think it's interesting if I'm right about that, I think it's interesting that Stephen Ross decided, okay, I'll fire him. I'm not going to hire you and make you fire him.
McDaniel ends up, in a situation where this is a little bit embarrassing, and his friend, Dan Soder, the comedian, a childhood friend of Mike McDaniel's, was all manner of pissed off about this. Is this the We Must Be Drunk podcast?
Well, he'll get a gig, right? Somewhere else?
Absolutely. In fact, I think he's better off because I think, and listen to me right now, I think it's a shit organization. I think it's ran by an old that stabbed Mike in the back after he told him he was going to be all right for another season, and the Dolphins. And honestly, Miami as a comedy town. When having a friend that's an NFL coach, you listen more when people talk about your friend. And Troy Aikman shits on McDaniel in a way that I'm like, he doesn't like Mike.
Whoa.
And me and my friend Chad, who grew up with Mike, were like, Chad was the first one who was like, I bet Aikman had something to do with it. And then I was just like, Troy Aikman, looking like white Jay-Z, quarterback that was falling off. Tua stinks. But listen, I think McDaniel got fired because he tied himself to Tua and they lost. That's a sign of my friend being loyal. So, like, as a friend, I go, yeah, he's stuck with him. And I hope the next team he goes to, the quarterback goes, well, this guy's stuck with him, so I believe in him.
Yeah.
So I'll play for it. I just hope McDaniel goes and wins 10 Lombardi trophies and then shoves them up the owner of the Dolphins' asshole one at a time. And I hope the Dolphins never win another game.
Woo!
You're stupid. Damn. Your old logo's better. Your new logo looks like a penis jumping through a Nuva ring.
Hey.
Your fans don't know ball. A couple of them at the stadium, it was like crazy watching them not know when to cheer on third down.
Jesus Christ.
That whole organization.
Okay. So he's mad. Thank you, Mike, for the help there. The thing that I was noticing, Zaslow, during that, and I understand the sound is spicy, but I was noticing the Mark Norman sounds and only the Mark Norman sounds. And the reason I was noticing them is because before I did his show with Sam, Sam told me he doesn't know anything about sports. So the sounds of Mark Norman coming out of him are like, wow. He doesn't, but he doesn't care at all about just about anything. Dan Soder's just railing against something that Mark Norman doesn't care about.
Whoa.
And me and my friend.
He had good contributions, I thought.
He did. That's a proper reaction to shoving 10 Lombardi trophies up Stephen Ross's asshole.
10's ridiculous. 9 maybe, but 10.
Right, he's 85 years old.
You got to go to the grave. You got to win them in a row, and then you got to go to the grave.
At 85 years old, you got to think the second one being shoved up there probably kills him.
There's a lot to talk about in the Miami Heat organization, but before we get to that, though, the sound he also dropped in there, and I'm curious whether any of you care about this part. Maybe you don't. I believe Dan Soder when he says, my friend was told he has another year, and now where are we on that? Like that particular detail of what are you guys doing?
Because Ross is sloppy. That's exactly what Ross is sloppy. I would imagine Ross told him, I'm not firing you. That's why Black Monday came and went, and McDaniel's still the coach.
African American Monday.
And then he hired a GM who wants to move on. And he's going to move on. He's sloppy.
I don't think Dan was really wrong about anything there.
The Miami being a
bad
shit comedy town. Come on now.
Okay, fair enough.
And honestly, Miami as a comedy town.
The fans that don't know ball, I actually think that's fair. But, I mean, yeah, Stephen Ross probably didn't handle this right. I mean, we can tell from where we're sitting, right, without knowing much. Mike McDaniel was saying that he was going to be involved in the GM process. That is a little sloppy, and I can certainly understand why anyone close to Mike McDaniel would feel like this was handled incorrectly.
We're going to have Darren Waller through here for a South Beach session. I find him refreshing. Listen to what it is that he is saying here, though, as it relates to Tua. Zaz, have you heard any of this sound where he's talking about a teammate and being in a huddle and being in a locker room where you're not sure if your friend and teammate and leader's head is right?
But I was watching most of training camp, so I'm on the sideline. I'm watching this man throw darts every practice, bro. Like, it was just like, what the am I watching? Like, I'd never seen the anticipation and the accuracy out there. So it's like, I think from my standpoint, the skill set for him is still there. Well, I think like maybe some of like the disconnect comes from, like seeing it translate, I think there might be like there could be some like trauma still stored like in his body from like what he's gone through, like with the head injuries and stuff. Because there's this book called The Body Keeps the Score, which is like the #1 book about like trauma, and they talk about how trauma was first with like war veterans and like what they went through there, and like they'll come home and they'll see like a car sitting by itself in a grocery store parking lot, but they're in their body and their brain will tell them like that car has an explosive in it when it's just like a car sitting at fucking Publix or something. And so I think like I can notice him like trying to make things happen like in the game, like he's trying to pull the trigger, but it's almost like his body and like his system won't
allow him to do it.
Do that. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like if there's a way for him to find some healing in that regard, I think the skill set is definitely still there, like you said.
Can you imagine, as we diagnose this very poorly while watching it, just imagining dropping back in traffic, in the particular traffic of football, and having any kind of hitch anywhere in your body that's a short circuit on, well, I can do this over here, but now I've got post-traumatic stress disorder because the wiring in my brain's not right. You will never get that information from Tua while he's playing at a microphone. You will never get honesty about that. So any criticism of him that it doesn't have that in it is a little bit empty, I think, because all of us would short circuit if what he's describing, you're walking down the street living a life and you think every car is going to explode. And I just can't imagine playing that sport that way. You can't play that sport unless you're 100% free-flowing.
I think we saw it, right? Like, I think it's a perfectly reasonable explanation or observation that Darren Waller is giving us.
But it's not in
there.
any of the criticism of Tua. Like, the criticism of Tua doesn't have that compassion in it.
No.
None of it.
No.
It doesn't have any of the idea that somebody might be out there playing scared and can't tell anybody he's scared, although it shows up in his performance.
Really? I kind of felt like that was the gambit when it came to Tua, that he was forever changed by what happened, and naturally it would affect how he plays the game.
You think the majority of America, when they've been arguing for years about the polarizing quarterback of the Dolphins, can he play, can he not play? You think the majority of Americans are saying he's regressed because of his brain?
Maybe I'm an idiot, but I think that's implied when you discuss Tua and all that goes with it.
I think we saw this year and acknowledged throughout the season that he looks scared. And I know that's something where when you say that about a football, but what do you mean they're all tough? You're not scared. It's like, no, I think in this instance, we're watching a guy who looks scared back there.
Perhaps it deserves more nuance, but I just assumed that if you're familiar with Tua's story and the downward trajectory of his professional career, that the head stuff is all encompassing.
Doesn't it feel cold to you?
Yes.
Because it doesn't. If it were encompassing, I would think it would show up as compassion somewhere in the critique, somewhere.
I think, look, people have gone at Tua. Every time we talk about his play, I think we've worked that into the conversation. And by working that into the conversation and making it a part of the discussion, I do think that does show compassion. Because we're not just saying, wow, this guy was a fraud. He sucks.
I don't know. I mean, when I sit here telling him to get out of my city, I'm not showing very much compassion.
No, I understand. And I'd probably feel a similar way if I were a Dolphin fan, right? But I don't think that we've discussed Tua lacking compassion. Maybe we could be more compassionate, but I think it's been part of the discussion, always implied and always hanging over it.
I do think what's part of what has turned off the Dolphin fan, even if we can acknowledge that maybe we should show some compassion if this is what's going on, is, man, like he has said some really weird things throughout this season, some really unlikable things throughout this season. And that part, I think, I know as a Dolphin fan, has really turned me off.
I think every time we've analyzed what he's said and said this is strange behavior, we have applied the context of, he's gone through a lot in his career, health-wise.
I wasn't actually talking about us. I wasn't talking about our show. I know we've talked about it plenty. I was talking about America as it regards to measuring, can this person play or not?
Yeah, outside fans probably don't think of it.
Yeah,
but
I don't think they're looking at it that hard.
He had some pretty shocking concussions on standalone TV windows.
Yeah, but I just don't think any of us really understand it. Like, how can we possibly?
Does anyone?
How can we possibly understand it?
He was the league's leading passer, and he is very clearly dropped off, and there's a line of demarcation from when he had the fencing hands.
I see that Tony is on the lovely, lovely campus of the University of Miami. I was thinking today, man, oh man, did I feel my age today? Because it didn't dawn on me until today because it's 2026. Oh, shit. It's been 40 years since I walked onto that campus to go to school. 40. That's the face to make, Tony. That is correct. That's exactly the face I made when I was like, Tony's going to campus today, and I walked on it for the first time 40 years ago. Tony, what's going on out there?
Last time you were at a bakery, too.
Can you feel the buzz? Can you feel the emotion? Can you feel the electricity of students walking past the lake and people at the architecture school thinking of the Hurricanes?
I can definitely feel the buzz in the air, Dan. There's about 17 people walking around campus right now. It's still a little early. There's classes going on. People are definitely looking at me like, who's this guy? Why is he here? There's a camera. People are kind of confused by the camera. But I feel like a little bit of kind of an infidel because I was never allowed to even get on the campus. Last time I was here was for Frank Haith's team camp when I was a sophomore in high school, so like 20 years ago. But yeah, Dan, so excited to be here. We've already got a person who's a big fan of the show. And can we interview him really quick?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Let's go.
Okay. All right. We got Manny here. What's up, Manny?
What's up, guys?
Big fan of the show. Manny was at Columbus. He's also working on the broadcast team here at University of Miami. He was also over at Columbus a couple days ago. Graduated with Fernando Mendoza from Columbus. But I want to ask him, Danny, very important question. Manny, how many Mannys are there at Columbus?
There's actually quite a few Mannies at Columbus. So I want to say the kids that graduated with me, there was about 3 more Mannies in my class.
There's no way. There had to be like about 10 or 11 or 12 at least.
It wasn't that much, but mine was I'm Emmanuel, but most of them were Manuel. So it was different kind of Manny.
Top 5 names at Columbus. We had to go Manny. We got to go Alex.
Armando.
Alex for sure.
There's got to be a lot of Amanditos. No, that's Dan. That you're talking about from the 80s. Nobody calls their kid Amandito anymore.
Couple generations.
There's got to be Nicks. A lot of Nicks.
There was my best buddy from Columbus that's here right now. Name is Nick. And then there's a lot of Jose's as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, Dan, he graduated with Fernando Mendoza. So to see Fernando from what he was in high school to where he is now, how do you gauge that?
Well, I mean, he's still a great guy, a good friend still. Well, I wasn't that great of a friend with him when I was there, but we had classes together. But I still give him a text every time he had a big win this season, and he did respond, which was pretty cool.
Every time, or?
Every time.
Okay, so we're trying to figure out somebody who could say a bad thing about Fernando Mendoza. Coach Dunn said that he was a dork, and that's kind of the worst that we've had. Is there anybody that we can find anywhere that can say something bad about Fernando?
A little bit of a nerd, smart guy. That's about it. I can't say anything bad.
Would his brother say something bad about him? Can we find his brother?
Alberto or Max, the little one?
Ooh, I don't know. You tell me. Who's spicier?
Well, Alberto's his teammate, so I don't think you're going to get anything out of him. Maybe the little brother, Max, but he's always with the dad, so they're always hanging out together.
Okay, so we've got some work to do, Dan, if we want to find somebody to say something bad about Fernando Mendoza.
No, we're doing well. We got lactose intolerant, and we've got a second source now on Dork. We've got Miami's not going to get beaten by a dork. That can't happen. When does that happen? Miami's not going to get beaten by a nerd.
Yeah, Dan says there's no way Miami gets beaten by a dork. We have two accounts of him being a dork, and we also have him being lactose intolerant. Did you know that?
I did hear that released by the Dan Le Batard Show. I did not know that, but that's news to me. So.
He saw my journalism.
He saw Jimmy's journalism, yeah. Anything you can give us as far as insights to Fernando, insights into Columbus, insights into anything that people wouldn't know in the national landscape?
That's a great question, Tony.
Thank you, buddy.
Let's end it there because he's filibustering with that's a great question.
I had a great experience at Columbus. I think the athletic program has done a great job, and if everything that I just said stays true, he might be a little bit of a problem, but I think the Canes are still going to win.
Because he doesn't have anything, and we're going to
touchdown. I think the spread is way too big right now. I think it's going to go down. Smart money comes in later. Greg Cody.
Wow, smart money comes in later. Greg Cody, Manny, thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate you. You got to work at 9:30, or else he would have done another 25 minutes if that's okay with you, Dan.
We lost to Craig Krenzel.
Yes, that's right. With the greatest football team there's ever been, with the greatest roster that's ever been.
It happens. BYU pushed us in a locker one time.
Jeremy, Tony, good job. Ooh, Freudian slip. Good job on the sideline reporting.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
that about?
We'll come back to you later in the show.
We were
Thank you.
so close to Dan saying, Jeremy, good job for the first time.
Yeah, and I think I did say it. I just didn't say it toward you.
Someone clip that for me.
Let's get to the other thing that I wanted to get to here, because it's not something that I see very often around the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat reportedly don't have Kevin Durant because they weren't willing to separate from Khalil Ware. I assume that Ja Morant will cost at least one young player like that. I might be wrong.
I don't think so.
He might be so discounted that it's not even one young player like that. But I think that Heat fans would be really excited about whatever it is that Khalil Ware becomes. But he hasn't played great with Bam on the floor. He's gone to the bench since Tyler Hero has returned, and Spo doesn't like his attitude about going to the bench. So where is the sound here on Spo doing something that the Heat organization rarely does, but has now done several times in some way to Khalil Ware? It must stink, Zaz, to be in the doghouse of this coach when he protects everybody. He doesn't want anything in public, and he continues to shame only one guy on his team, and really outside of Hassan Whiteside, only one guy ever, and it's Khalil Ware.
With Khalil, I know that's a lightning rod topic. He needs to get back to where he was 8 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, where I felt, and everybody in the building felt, that he was stacking days, good days. He's stacking days, in the wrong direction now. He's just got to get back to that. Stack days, build those habits, make sure you're ready and play the minutes that you're playing to a point where it makes me want to play you more. I get it with some young players. You sometimes subconsciously play poorly to say, hey, I'll play poorly if until you play me the minutes, I think I'll deserve, then I'll play well. That's not how it works.
Khalil, no.
It's surprising to hear this type of sound from Spo in certain ways, right? The young players forcing him to play them is a thing he's consistent
That's a common
about.
line. Yep.
Nico Jovic dealt with it earlier in the year. He played really poorly at the beginning of the year after coming back from injury. He didn't have the energy that Spo was looking for. He rode the bench for 3 weeks before finally earning his way back in. Bam spoke after the game about guys needing to do role player things. Even the best players on the team.
They lost to the Celtics last night. They get off to a big lead early and then lose late.
Celtics, so many offensive rebounds in the second half.
Yeah, and that was the fans' frustration is, Khalil Ware, you would think, could be a part of fixing that.
Same thing happened against Phoenix. He allows a lot of offensive rebounds when he does, and I can see how people would think, hey, he's not trying very hard there.
I went back this morning and watched the 8 minutes that he was on the floor, and what you didn't see were crashing toward the rim on shots where for offensive rebounds of your own where he was out by the perimeter. What you didn't see were the box outs on the defensive end where you would look for throwing your body around. He had 5 rebounds in those 8 minutes. A couple of them did just fall to them. A couple of them were solid rebounds as a big guy. But when you look at him on the offensive end, he took 5 shots. 4 of those were threes. Now, he's a really high percentage three-point shooter. It's part of the offense. But Spo has been looking for this from Khalil all year long, and I think that you can see it when you watch the game. There is a difference between how Khalil plays for the force of a full game when he is engaged from the jump because he's in that starting lineup, he's getting the ball in the first few possessions, versus what it looks like when he's coming in the flow of a game. And I don't know if that's, the insinuation of personally sabotaging your own minutes. That doesn't seem like what a professional would do when they're trying to earn their way into the league. But at the same time, you can see the difference in what the motor, which was the one knock on him coming out, not the talent, seems to look like in those games.
Bonafide coming. I watched the game with sound on. Whoa. First time I've done that since the playing game.
All 4 quarters?
All 4 quarters. And do you guys consider Ware a core piece? I don't. I think here's the issue.
But do you not consider him a core piece because you think they're going to use him to trade for another player?
Well, potentially that's framing it, but also he's not on the court when the games are hanging in the balance. And the guys that I did see on the court couldn't make a layup. We were puffing our chests out after we beat Phoenix, and then I saw Bam not be able to make a layup. And I don't want to do the repeat takes here. I think it's very clear, and I don't want to put anybody in an awkward situation. 2-time champion broadcaster, guy who does a great job on the broadcast. I think it's fairly evident that this core is not going to get it done. We have seen this core max out, and they're always hovering around the Hawks and Bulls. Something needs to be done to this roster. I don't know how drastic. I just know the core individuals on the Miami Heat roster appear to have a ceiling over the course of several seasons, and that ceiling is 10 seed, maybe get hot in the playoffs.
Here's what's not up for dispute, Zaz, and it's been fairly shocking to watch, okay? Since Boston's best player was stopped by Miami's best defensive player at the rim in the bubble.
What a moment.
The Miami Heat have gone in one direction, and the Celtics of last night without Jason Tatum are just as good or better than Miami, and that's Miami healthy, and that's not Boston healthy because Boston doesn't have its best player. And this season at the halfway point, Boston without Jason Tatum is just as good as Miami. That gulf of separation, the things that have changed there, they were separated by a block at the rim in the bubble. And since then, what's happened is Boston's become both a champion and a champion with the architecture that looks right, that can withstand not having Jason Tatum, and Miami's in a place where a week ago you were trading Bam.
Yeah, my biggest frustration, and I get it, the league is different. There are certain rules that make it more complicated, but man, it wasn't that long ago where if Pat Riley acknowledges a team that is not a championship team, he says F this, and he blows it up, and he makes trades.
It's going to happen.
Now
it's going to get
how
blown
long
up.
have we been saying that,
No,
though,
but they're going to go get it's going to go get blown up. Like, it seems obvious now that that's what's going to happen. They're 500 at another break. They're not a team. I mean, Hero missed some games, but they've been herky-jerky, and their best player, whether it's Bam, Norm Powell, Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, whoever you think their best player is, isn't good enough to lead you to a championship.
Khalil, no.
That part seems obvious to me, and you guys are at a level of frustration that I haven't seen you before. Mike has been there for a while, but Zaz is usually a diehard, and Jeremy's alone on Lonely Island.
I'm still a diehard. That hasn't changed.
No, once you
I
trade
am like
Bam,
the Lonely Island.
Jeremy,
Thank you.
Jeremy does not want Bam traded. Jeremy, there
I
are
will
not
never trade
there
Bam.
are not a lot of players like that who can guard everybody. Like, that's a really valuable piece. I understand that you don't want it to be your best player because it can't be your best player.
I don't want Bam traded either, but I don't want him making $50 million a year more.
You've already said you're trading him. Sorry, Jeremy. I'm sorry. There's a knock at the door. There's somebody knocking.
Ooh, our first guest.
Look
All
at
right,
this.
We've established that sound. Thank you.
There is Brad Williams, and it's our first guest in a barrage of guests to predict Indiana against Miami. So, Brad, welcome to the show. Please keep it short.
Keep it short?
Wow.
You just told a dwarf to keep it short. Really? All right. That's fun. You just told me to keep it short. Also, just a prediction. You fat shamed me earlier this week. Okay, you let Andrew Santino be your Bears correspondent. You let Sam Morrill be your Knicks correspondent. You worship the ground that Shane Gillis farts on, and then I actually rep your show. I support the show. I'm a diehard, lifelong Broncos fan. They're on a historic run. You're not letting me in, and then you fat shame me. You, Dan Le Batard, fat shame me. That's insane. That's all people know about you, Dan Le Batard, is that you're fat. Watch this. Excuse me, sir. Do you know who Dan Le Batard is? Yeah, he's the fat guy. Yeah, he's the fat guy. Look at that, Dan Le Batard. I have a top 5 list of things less hypocritical than you fat shaming me. Number 5, Chris Cody fat shaming me. Number 4, Jeremy saying that joke was corny. Number 3, Mike Ryan saying you stick up for your team too much. Number 2, Greg Cody saying be more professional. And the number 1 thing, less hypocritical than Dan Le Batard fat shaming me, Michael Irvin saying you have a cocaine problem.
Shorter.
Come on, shorter. You haven't even talked about the fact that many of your show was at my show. Chris Cody, Greg Cody, Zaslow, they all came to my show in Fort Lauderdale.
Killed it.
While on stage, I said that Zaslow, it's ironic he has a foot fetish because he looks like a toe. And you guys never talk about this? You never bring it up.
My
The
wife
U-
was in the
the
crowd. I had to
win.
explain that
The
to
U's
her.
gonna win.
The U's gonna win. We got our
Whoa,
pick. There
there's
we
the
go.
prediction. The U's going to win.
Yeah, but flip
Because
finish.
I know that the U winning will piss off Dan Le Batard the most, and that's what I'm rooting for.
What?
Many are saying.
Yeah, that fake Cuban.
Check out Brad's new podcast, Heightened Babble.
What? You think it'll make me happy for the University of Miami lose? You guys, I don't understand what's happening around here. Absolutely not. All right. Broncos correspondent Brad Williams on with us.
You
Fat
don't
shaming
understand?
me.
I
No,
feel like
I
we
don't.
calmly explained it to
No.
you.
No, because
With a
I
lot
said,
of rationale.
Because I said reputationally that Mario Cristobal.
Let's not do this again.
No. It wasn't an isolated incident. This is, a decades-long bit.
Trust me, Dan, I'm here in Salt Lake City, Utah, in the Salt Lake City airport, and even they're shaming your name in these streets. You're not out here, Dan. You don't know what they're talking about. The U is back, baby.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate the time, Brad. I appreciate the correspondence. I didn't feel like I fat shamed you. I just said that if they were going to throw you 7 yards on 4th and short, they might want to get someone lighter than you.
That's not fat shaming?
I'm not sure Bryce Young could throw.
I'm just thinking it's an efficiency thing. It's not fat shaming. 5 pounds lighter means lighter than you, and that might go a little further if someone were to throw somebody on 4th and short that was 5 pounds lighter, or even a muffin lighter. Like I'm not fat shaming you. I'm just saying a lighter thing can be thrown further.
Have you watched these guys work out in the gym? You think NFL players are going to be like, yeah, I would throw a human being over the line, but Brad, a little too big.
You're thick and muscled. You're thick and muscled. Like I'm not saying you're fat. I didn't say you were fat. I said you were too heavy to be thrown 7 yards on 4th and 6. That's what I said. And this is supposed to be one word. We're off to a bad start. We're just supposed to have people here who come in and say Indiana or Miami and then get out of here. And shorter. Brad Williams, shorter.
Shorter? Really, you're saying me shorter. Do you want to tell the black guy right here to lighten up? Is that what you want to do? Jesus.
See you later, Brad. Thank you. We appreciate the time. Throughout the show today, Zaslow's worried about this because Fowler's going to be here in a little bit. And
I don't think they can be longer than that.
No, they can't. See, this is what I'm worried about, though, as it relates to Fowler, that we're going to have 20 minutes of Fowler's time and somebody's going to come in and do that. I got a top 5 list. I want to do this.
Ooh, someone else is here.
What? Is that Jason Benetti? What the hell is Jason Benetti doing? Jason Benetti, I suspect that it'd be good to talk to Jason Benetti about Kyle Tucker and the fact that Kyle Tucker, I think Jason Benetti was talking to Lewis back there, the fact that Kyle Tucker, now Zaslow, you've got the Dodgers, $60 million a year. The Dodgers get Kyle Tucker. That came out of nowhere for me. I thought somebody else was going to get him.
You're setting Benetti up to say more than one word.
So Jason Benetti, who you got? UM.
The number one song in America in 1950 was Goodnight Irene. The number one song in America in 1979 was My Sharona by The Knack. We made it all the way from Goodnight Irene to My Sharona in music, and Indiana in that span had 3 seasons with more than 5 wins. You have to root for Indiana a little bit, right? Probably. I mean, think of all the music in between.
I need one word from these people. Get out of here, Benetti. I need one word. What don't these people understand?
Was that his prediction, though? Or just who he's rooting for?
That's an Indiana prediction. I mean, it's definitely not a Miami prediction. So we're split.
He said,
1-1.
he said you have to root for Indiana. He said you're obligated to root for Indiana.
He also loves Fernando Mendoza.
You guys agree, right, that nothing in sports around here has felt quite this alone since the Heat gathered as LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade, right? Like where the nation is rooting for something else.
The hockey world at large did not want to see the cup go to Sunrise, Florida.
We were up 3-0. We got to that game 7. Find me someone who was still rooting for the Panthers.
Yeah, in that insular hockey world, no one wanted to see it, and they certainly didn't want to see it a second time.
I do understand that in the insular hockey world, but what about the rest of the world? Because I do believe, like, Miami doesn't get to be Cinderella here as the 8.5-point dog. Like
They are, though.
Which is crazy. They're a 10 seed, a 2-loss 10 seed. They're Cinderella.
That's my life. I got to accept it.
Talking Sunset Gears with comedian Rob Delaney.
I really am thrilled to be doing this, Rob, because I admire your work a great deal, and it's rare that I find somebody from afar that I've been wanting to talk to because their story seems somehow something even more admirable to me. Now, you might not view it this way. I don't know how much nobility you think there is in your story, but in watching the art that you've made and watching the life that you've chosen, it's sort of been a pleasure to watch your work grow and to see, you know, the things that you are choosing late in life to do artistically.
Well, that's very kind of you to say. Thank you, and thank you for acknowledging that I am late in my life. There's a refreshing honesty to that. I am 45, so I'm well more than halfway.
45 is late in life.
I mean, I do think about it though sometimes. Though, like I'm definitely more than halfway done, and that's funny. Isn't that funny?
How does it feel to be told that you're late in life by someone who is considerably older than you?
Who's a great deal older than me? It's strange. I wonder, does he know things about, does he have access to my medical file? Has he seen things that I haven't seen?
I just feel like, I feel through your art like you've lived more than I have. It's really what I'm doing there in the having of 4 kids, in the choosing work-life balance, in learning life's lesson. I just think that I was atrophied as a, as a young person.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the things that that I've experienced that maybe most people haven't are, you know, I did get sober 20 years ago after going to jail after a car accident that I was responsible for, and I've stayed sober, so that's been pretty cool. I've had the unbelievable good fortune to make a living in comedy, and of course I didn't for a long time before I did, so that was challenging. And then, but the biggest thing would be that my wife and I, one of our sons got cancer and passed away a few years ago. So those are the big things that I've been through that I think, you know, are place me in sort of a strange minority. I think I covered it all.
Well, life-altering things, right? Because arriving at comedy success must have been the realization of your dreams, right? You came from, your comedy story there aren't a lot of people who had comedy success the way you did, just sort of discovered by social media. I can say that, right?
Oh, sure, yeah. It came at an interesting time because I was trying very hard to get hired by, say, Jimmy Kimmel, Conan O'Brien, you know, writing jokes by the stack, by the physical paper stack, you know, because I'm submitting 2-liner jokes, you know, by the pound to try to get hired as a late night writer. So then Twitter comes along and I've got piles of jokes that no one will pay me for, no one wants. And I mean, I send them to people and they're like, no thanks, you know, or these are great, but still no thanks. And so I had a place to focus this stuff. So it was sort of a right place, right time kind of a thing. So myself and, you know, many other people around the same time figured, oh, you know, Twitter's not just for
complaining to people here at Meadowlark Media for a while to please make sure that we do a better job of using our audio library, that it's hugely valuable. It's something that I was able to, and we were able to wrestle away from ESPN. And I remember one of the biggest fights at ESPN was over this sound from the 7th Floor crew. I wanted it. ESPN wanted it. We got it. King ding-a-ling. That is the rap from the 7th Floor crew, and it was a sophomoric rap. It was amateur. It was a bunch of college kids doing, trying to do hip-hop poorly, and the sound, I don't remember who it was who was King Ding-a-ling. King Ding-a-ling. but it created great controversy. Greg Olsen, I think, is still embarrassed by his participation in this song. It's classic poor hip-hop, misogynistic and foolish, and a college program doing the quote-unquote art of hip-hop ended up getting them in a good amount of trouble.
It's also like Wu-Tang Crew, because it's 9 minutes. The whole song is like endless. There's everybody gets a verse, like literally everybody on the floor got to chime in. I think it was in the Mahoney residential college, which is not where I lived, but they were this was like obviously a dense population of football players on this floor, and they took an Aaliyah beat from an Aaliyah song and looped it endlessly. And then everybody just came in and had their way with it. And there's only like maybe one or two of the guys that you could say like their flow is solid, like professional. The rest are like a fiasco.
But it was also offensive. The lyrics were offensive. It was just they're aspiring to do hip hop as it's done. They're doing it poorly, and they're taking the worst parts of hip hop and just all they got from it was controversy. There was nothing good that came from this for them.
Not a thing. Not a thing. And it was a continuation of Two Live Crew. It was the misogynistic lyrics. That's what everybody went after them for, was that it objectified women, highly sexualized and misogynistic. That's what there's not a lot of menace in their voices. Like
they're kids doing a dumb thing. King Ding-a-ling. King Ding-a-ling was doing a dumb thing. Ding-a-ling.
Oh, Greg with the third leg.
What happened with Greg with the third leg, Olsen, and how mad was he or wasn't he about being put into this documentary and talking about any of this stuff? Because I know he's the only one I've heard over the years that still regrets all of it. Like everyone else shook it off.
Yeah, I honestly never feel bad about these things because I'm always pretty straightforward with people about what we're talking about. I mean, if I ask you questions about something, it's bound to wind up in the final product, which, of course, the Seventh Floor Crew was a subject that I addressed with a pretty large cross-section of the players we interviewed, including Greg Olsen. But I feel bad just because he's such a nice guy. I got along with him so well, and I know he was a little upset that we had a 90-second, 2-minute pod in the documentary about this. But, like, it's one of those things that is... It's iconic. I mean, and it was huge as soon as, like, remember Napster and LimeWire became a thing? The song was everywhere. Everywhere.
One more time, Roy.
King Ding-a-ling. The University of Miami is apologizing for a profane, sexually explicit rap song made by several football players.
The Seventh Floor Crew.
If your only know that she was getting on the 7th floor.
Greg Olsen was a part of that clique, and he was Greg with his third leg.
What's your name?
G-Reg.
What you do?
Get
how you do?
Drop my drawers and let us see my third leg.
Sounded like a good idea at the time. It sounded like harmless fun.
On my then I bust a quick on the face, on the chest, stick my between the.
You're a young kid, you're looking to fit into the group, and you're looking to make those relationships, and, a handful of guys get this idea, and the next thing you know, just another guy gets added, another guy gets added, another guy gets added.
The song contains 29 F-bombs, 18 B-words, and 15 mentions of a garden tool used for turning over soil.
They talked about it all day, every day, no matter where we went.
Miami has worked very hard to clean up its image since the days of Catholics versus convicts.
Some people were bent out of shape by it.
We're college kids. Like, we're allowed to have fun.
If you would have told any of us that it would get outside of that room, we probably wouldn't have done it.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Chris Fowler will be here in a little while. Dominique Foxworth at some point will be here. We've got an assortment of guests crashing the proceedings at various points during the next couple of hours. In the interim, though, can you do me the favor, please, of playing the sound of show friend Nick Turturro, friend or brother of John Turturro, friend of the show. Nick Turturro just going crazy because now the Dodgers also, at $60 million a year for 4 years, have Kyle Tucker, 45th in WAR.
You gotta be f***ing kidding me. Kyle Tucker to the Dodgers? I thought he was gonna be a f***ing Met. Of all things. What are we looking at, a three-peat now? You f***. What's going on? MLB, do something. Enough is enough.
Everyone agrees.
Is that the entire Marlins payroll? Did they just
About
give
80%.
80% of the Marlins payroll?
I think the Marlins right now have $76 million committed to players on their major league roster for next season, and he just got 60 to be their fourth best offensive player.
Loved him on NYPD Blue.
Chris Fowler is going to be here in a second, but the Harbaugh stuff, we haven't actually talked about it very much around here. The idea that Harbaugh wouldn't even be in any way interested in the Dolphins.
Stephen Ross didn't go on my idea?
Or available to the Dolphins. Your idea of
he'd have been available.
$50 million a year? He got $20 million a year. Zaz wanted to pay him $50 million a
He would
year.
have been made available, I assure you.
I mean, he would have been for 50?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have been here.
I just don't. I'm not saying that they should have given Harbaugh 50. What I'm saying
you
is,
did.
if I had Stephen Ross's money, if I wanted something, I would get it.
This is exactly how I imagined the backdrop behind Chris Fowler would be. Just
It's a nice house.
impossibly sleek, just impossible. All of the details handled, not a thing out of place, not a hair out of place. You're already ready. You're ready for this giant game, the most seismic game in the history of games. Are you not?
We did a fast cleanup, man. There were shoes and packages over there by the door. I promise you, it's not tidy like this all the time. I'm trying to get ready. My chart's a long way from being full, Dan, but I've still got time.
Well, people probably don't understand how meticulous you are or what it takes to be as good as you are at calling this particular game. So in all of the research that you've been doing, Chris, without giving away your best material, what are the things that you find most interesting, most unique to your experience covering college football about this game?
Well, the collision of the stories. I mean, Indiana has 3 postseason wins in their history. They began playing like in 1890-something. Coming into this year, they have 3 already, and trying to get a third one against Miami. 100-1 at the start of the season. People think, "Oh, Indiana was good last year." This is not that surprising. They're 100-1 to win a championship at the beginning of the year. Miami was 100-1 on Selection Sunday. People do not think they're going to get in the bracket, much less win it. So you got a really interesting collision of stories. Obviously, I could throw a mountain of data at you because that's part of the preparation. I knew Indiana was good, by the way. I prepped for the Rose Bowl. I watched 7 Indiana games in the regular season because we don't cover the Big Ten in the regular season. And what jumped out at me was how solid they are. Didn't surprise me they crushed Alabama or Oregon. Nothing would surprise me from this team. I will not underestimate Indiana, as some Miami fans are still doing. But no, it's the collision of these 2 stories, and Miami trying to win a championship with a 5th different coach, which is pretty cool. And it's a home field game, not a home crowd game for the Canes. There's so many different angles to this thing. It's fun.
Obviously, right, historically, Indiana as an improbability, they would always be Cinderella. But have you encountered a lot of situations where the 8.5-point underdog doesn't get the 8.5-point underdog with 2 losses playing the undefeated team doesn't get to be Cinderella?
No, I don't know who Cinderella is, but it's definitely not Indiana. I mean, not at this point. Okay. I mean, the 100 years of futility has been convincingly wiped away here. It's first after first after first. And now, that number's just been going up. So Vegas sets the number, and then the public agrees that Indiana is going to roll through this game, and that number just keeps climbing. So Cristobal has always told me that Miami has 20 years of hatred as fuel. Now they got a little more fuel because people don't believe on their home field that they can hang with the Hoosiers.
What do you think?
They better play clean. They better not make mistakes like they did against Ole Miss. Don't drop 4 interceptions. Don't have major penalties on defense, giving the offense a free 15 yards. Don't have false starts, moving your offense back 5 yards. If you can't do that stuff, because Indiana's not going to make mistakes typically. And unless you can get them out of their pattern, it's frightening efficiency. That's what you see when you dive into the numbers, man. They, in every situational deal, 3rd down, off the charts. Red zone, off the charts. They don't commit turnovers. They take the ball away. They don't commit penalties. I mean, there are a bunch of 24, 25-year-old guys who played 4, 5, and 6 years of football. They just don't make mistakes. So Miami better not.
It's a crazy thing to say. So they'll go, about 25% of the time RPO. They'll go back shoulder throws. You're expecting to see no mistakes from them offensively because Mendoza's 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions in the red zone?
I'm not expecting to see that because championship games have a weird dynamic, as we know in any sport. A little bit static on the brain, people do things they haven't done all season because of the pressure. He seems pretty immune from that, but this is a championship game, and it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for him. And for a lot of those guys who have paid their dues and been very poised under pressure, I still think there's the possibility that you could have a mini meltdown from one team or the other. I mean, I've seen Peyton Manning choke in a Super Bowl, not regularly, but it happens. And if that's possible, anything's possible in a football field. So, but if he plays the same way he played against Oregon, Mendoza put the ball exactly where it had to be. I've never seen ball placement quite like that against a pretty damn good defense with pretty tight coverage a lot of times. And it was exactly where it had to be. And it is undefendable in the way that, Aaron Rodgers in his prime would put the ball in a spot. It doesn't matter how good the coverage is. It doesn't matter if the DB is an all-pro. You can't defend it. And at a college level, there have been games I've watched where Mendoza and Indiana's offense is like that.
You're down here, Chris. Is anyone hitting you up for tickets?
Yeah, the smart ones did so 2 months ago. I posted the prices for these tickets in the aftermarket, trying to discourage people. If you haven't called me by now, don't call. Yes, I've bought a lot of people that get free tickets. I bought a number of tickets through various people, and the face price is $1,400. So that's why the ticket prices are high with the scalpers, because the CFP is not letting the scalpers make all the money. The face price is pretty high.
Who's the historical comp on Mendoza? Not necessarily story. I'm talking about that collegiate accuracy.
Good question. I mean, Andrew Luck was pretty damn accurate. He's one of the most accurate guys that I saw, and his cerebral sense of what to do pre-snap, Mendoza's kind of lines up with that. He's kind of a savant guy. I mean, so is Carson Beck. Carson Beck considers himself elite and mentally processing. He considers himself PhD savant level, and other coaches who've coached him and coached against him would agree with that. Beck's career is still undervalued, and Mendoza's burst on the scene as a guy that didn't beat a ranked team at Cal. No disgrace. He didn't have great teammates around him, so his rise has been meteoric, sort of in one season, and that's why I think there's still people who are waiting for him to come crashing down to earth, and they thought it was going to be at Oregon or the last drive against Penn State or Ohio State or Alabama. He's just passed every test with an A. And the fact that he's down here playing the program that didn't recruit him, his dad played high school ball with Cristobal, as I'm sure a lot of your audience knows. It's just an incredible collision of stories down here that you really couldn't script.
Chris, what do you think the national reputation of Mario Cristobal is?
It's improving, I'll tell you that, because when they took a loss November 1, and I'm going to admit, when they lost at SMU in the first game of November, I'm thinking, man, I know the history here. I know Mario's teams fade down the stretch. They don't get stronger and better when it's winning time late in the season, which is what you have to do if you're going to be in their position they're in now. And he turned that around. He got his guys to embrace the urgency, to embrace the pressure. They've obviously, as you know, playing playoff games really since the beginning of November. Went on the road for the last two of the regular season, played their best ball. Went on the road at A&M, in Dallas, in Phoenix, and played great games every time. I mean, not good enough to win, gritty, tough, resilient games. And I think that people are now seeing him manage the game a little bit better. These situational opportunities he's had, which were not always his strength. I think Mario has grown tremendously as a coach this season, and especially the second half of this season. I don't know what you guys think, but I think that's what I think. And I think nationally, people starting to see that he's got some great qualities as a coach. He hires great assistants. Heatherman was a great hire as DC. And I think he's made solid hires, and he's obviously always been a very strong recruiter, developer of players at certain positions. And now I think it's all kind of come together. And I think that this run has reshaped what the national narrative is about Mario.
Mike, the last couple of days have been getting a lot of applause from UM fans. Canes Insight is blowing up because Mike Ryan represents the voice of the fan. I just want an impartial national voice like you, Chris Fowler. Mike's been yelling at me because he thinks I have not been supportive of Miami. And I'm just curious what your thoughts are when I tell you that Miami fans think I've been and am anti-Miami.
Well, I know you, Dan. You could be seen as anti because you didn't jump on the bandwagon. I mean, have you changed your opinion? Have you changed your opinion I mean, in the last 2 months.
Well, but how could you not? They've won the 3 biggest games that they've played in
Right.
20 years in a row, one of them as an underdog.
I just got done saying there were reasons to doubt November 1st after they lost to SMU because it was some same old stuff, man. A roughing the passer, a marginal call, maybe, but it prolonged SMU's drive. They don't lose that game if they don't commit that penalty. And I thought that was a bad sign. But they've rallied together. Guys like Mark Fletcher, priceless leadership, Bain, Mesidor. You got a lot of wise, older, experienced players. You got a guy like Tony who seems like he's 28, even though he's barely 18. So the ingredients on this team were there. If you didn't notice it from the outside, it's because you don't have that kind of access. I mean, me included. I mean, I didn't know what to expect from this group, but they responded spectacularly. They played great football. They've been resilient within these games, and here they go. Now they're being counted out, not given a chance on their home field. If they play smart football, they can win. I think they present problems from Indiana that other teams have not. The pure physicality at the line is, we can go on and on, but I mean, I believed in this team. I was doubting after the SMU game for sure.
Chris, for two teams that never play one another, they actually, if you read between the lines, know each other quite well, with Cignetti having Heatherman on his staff, with Brock Schott transferring over to Indiana. I don't know if this is a game that's going to have a lot of secrets, and it probably amplifies your point about execution, no?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the secret shot factor is that he's going to go over there and open the playbook for him. I mean, I think if you're a coach and you're naturally paranoid, you're a little bit concerned about that. But I think familiarity is a part of it. I mean, Cignetti is pretty damn good at preparation. He leaves no stone unturned, and he knows stuff that maybe we shouldn't be surprised that he knows, because I really haven't covered him, but he is sort of like a savant that way mentally. And they're going to be very prepared. I think if you're Miami and Indiana's linebacker, Aiden Fisher, is over there calling out the play before it happens, judging the formation and his tape study, you should be concerned, because he's done that in games this year. He did it to Oregon twice. And I think Alabama felt like, are they stealing our signals? Is there some way? You know, these rumors are out there, they've hacked into the cloud. That's how prepared they are, is that people think they're cheating to do it, and which is, you know, kind of preposterous. But yeah, I mean, Cignetti is going to be prepared, and he's going to be hard to fool, and his staff is too.
Oh, we got another guest here. This is not promising. This is long-winded here, so I don't know if this is going to be short. Pablo, the University of Miami against Indiana. Who are you picking?
Miami.
Okay, excellent work. That's the way we want to do that. Good contribution.
Thank you, Pablo. On the rooftop, bud.
Bye, Pablo.
Thank you, Pablo. Thank you. Pablo Torre finds out the most popular sports podcast, sort of sports podcast, going right now in America.
That's how it's done.
As a hot new thing. I'm seeing on the screen here, it says First Take coming up. Chris Fowler joins the show.
I do join the show. That is the next assignment. Yes.
Oh, okay.
That's his hard out at 10.
He's got a hard
No,
out?
I got some time. That's a little bit later.
Okay, so he's got some time. So Chris
You're
Fowler.
sandwiched in between Greenberg and Stephen A. I don't know if you feel comfortable with that, but this is
He's
a
the
busy
ham.
Friday morning.
I want you as a professional broadcaster, always polished. Your colleague here, ESPN Radio, Zaslow, he said this earlier in the week. I want you to translate it as a professional broadcaster.
Shitty, you want to know what were the kids doing? Man, see, that's what I was afraid of. I got so much respect for Chris Fowler, now I'm embarrassed.
So what was he describing here, Chris? Do you want to take any kind of guess for what it is that he was trying to say here? What are you hearing?
I'm pretty sure it was English, but I don't get much beyond that. I hear excitement. I hear enthusiasm. I hear
but translate this. What is he talking about?
Shitty, you want to know what were the kids doing?
I mean, not being a parent, it could mean anything. I don't know.
Okay, he doesn't have a guess, not in the world.
I mean, look, I would love to have Chris Fowler on with me and Amber Wilson on Monday for college football campus tour. And now when he's asked, he's going to hear the name Zaslow. He's going to be like, well, the guy doesn't know how to talk.
All right, so let's give him something else here. What is he saying here, Chris? What is your analysis? It's not just college football, you know professional football as well.
Yep.
You answer this question.
The Packers win or the Bears lose? The Packers win or the Bears lose?
I think both were wrong. So you're 0 for 2 with that one.
Packers win or the Bears lose? Man, it is bullshit.
but that's a legit question, don't you think?
Yeah.
No, I don't think, because the Packers.
All right.
Well, just
No.
because
Well,
the
if
game
it's
was
wrong-
won by the Bears.
The Packers win or the Bears lose.
Yeah, but sometimes, like Monday night, it's possible that Miami loses the game and Indiana doesn't win the game. I mean, on the scoreboard they would, but what's the more important factor? Like, are your mistakes going to outweigh what the other team did? That's what I think he's trying to say.
Yeah,
but I'm
maybe
not
I was
positive.
using some nuance, right, Chris?
The look, I don't care what you say, man. The look overpowers all the inability to communicate. I love the look, so just keep rolling.
It goes without saying that there's never been in the history of the sport, a historic sport, the Indiana story. What, in your perspective, is second place in terms of rivaling improbabilities of, after this game, if they beat Miami, Chris, it's going to be hard to argue against them having the best season ever.
Yeah, not the best team ever, if you're going to look at talent, but the best season ever, because no one's done 16-0 since the 1800s. And Yale didn't have a juggernaut schedule back the year that they did it. 100-1 preseason, despite the success last year, nobody gave them a shot. And I think that it would be the postseason run that would define it. Let's say, and I don't think this happens, but let's say they crush Miami. So a program that had won 3 postseason games in its history. 3 postseason wins, beginning with Lee Corso in the Holiday Bowl, wins 3 postseason games this run, and crushes teams in the doing of that. To me, it'd be hard to argue with this, because they're still the team that until this year had the most losses in FBS, had the worst winning percentage all time of any Power 4 team. I mean, that they're not supposed to be in this position. That's why I think the storybook fits. But it's not Hoosiers, the basketball high school teams, right? It's not that. It's not a bunch of 5'8" guys wildly overachieving and knocking off the big city school because Gene Hackman measured the hoop and it was just the same as their home gym. It's not that. These are really good football players. They're doing it in the modern way. They're doing it with guys who have been at 2, 3, 4 schools, who are 24, 25, 26 years old in some cases. And they're using the portal and they're using NIL in a really smart way. So, it's not like they're not good team. They're not a bunch of good players who are wildly overachieving. That's not what this team is. It's the story is remarkable because of their historical futility, but the way they've used the modern tools at their disposal, which was never possible before. That's why there's no comparable. Bill Snyder turned around Kansas State, obviously long ago, and they were the worst team in history, and they became competitive and came close to playing for a national championship in the late 90s. But Signetti did it in 2 years. And that's what you can now do with the modern tools. And if you use them brilliantly, which he has, this kind of thing is possible going forward. Like we've seen in the NFL. Many times a team goes from last in the division to winning the division. It's almost common now. But in college, it's been obviously impossible.
2 last questions here. As someone who knows that you are vastly over-prepared for the moment, what percentage of your prep will make it into a game? What percentage?
I'm going to lean in and grab something here, so forgive me. I'm going to show you the chart. I posted this on Instagram, but this is the chart, not for this game, because the chart for this game's got a long way to go. But this is Miami having the football. Can you see how little this writing is?
Yeah.
This is the spotter chart. This is Miami's offense in the bottom, and this is Ole Miss's defense up top. And to answer your question, yes, wildly over-prepared. A fraction of that gets in the broadcast, because if a lot of that gets in the broadcast, then I've done a terrible job. I've smothered the game with data. That has like key one-line things reminding me to get to a story that I want to tell. It has performances in key games and situations. It has a lot of data about each offense and defense, but I promise not to ruin the game by reading it on the air.
Well, but over under 10%, 5% of the material that you have prepared that you will actually use?
I would say, because there's much more that I've actually prepared that doesn't even get on the chart. So I would say under 5% of the stuff I've seen gets on the air. What gets on the chart, 10% might be a good guess. Yeah.
The reason I asked the question is because this game has so many storylines that when is the last time that you went into a game saying to yourself, oh, I'm not going to be able to get all of the great stuff into this one. Like, I know I'm not going to be able. I've got so much stuff that I'm going to be overprepared in a way that's really ridiculous.
I think you can't be over-prepared. You can just overuse your preparation to make a distinction. So I believe in being as prepared as possible, but I think that with experience, hopefully you learn a couple things. You don't overuse your preparation. I think that, and there's different levels of that. I think that the stories are so good, Dan, and the problem is we've had some of these championship games with teams that play tempo offenses, which is what makes college announcing more challenging than an NFL game. These offenses don't play at frenetic pace. Miami certainly doesn't. So you have an opportunity to get in stories. You got to have three things in mind when you go into these games. What is the great story of Carson Beck? How can you tell it if you had 30 seconds? How can you tell it if you had one sentence? And how can you tell it if you have 5 words? Because that's sometimes all you get. Now, hopefully you get the 30-second version because he's got a long story over 7 years, just like Chambliss did last week for Ole Miss. And Indiana's got a lot of stories you could tell too, but you just hope that the game flow allows you to interject something that offers a little texture and context, because that is the challenge in college football, to do that with the teams playing as fast as they do sometimes. Hopefully not Monday night.
Chris, I often lay in bed watching highlights of the game broadcast because I'm at the game. And I wonder, do you do that too? Because I sit grinning with my cell phone light reflecting off my face, watching you say, Malachi Tony, still running. Do you watch yourself back? Do you try to listen and pick up on stuff that you did?
Yeah, but I screen the game back just for preparation anyway. A lot of what I do with preparation is watching games back that we just called, because that's obviously Miami's most recent game. I watched the Rose Bowl, which we call involving Indiana. And yeah, I get excited hearing those calls. I like those moments. It's a tremendous honor, man. It's so flattering to be part of documenting these big games and have your voice, because that's what the role calls for, laying on top of those highlights, and have fans of a team tell you years down the line that they played, your call of Georgia winning or Alabama winning, et cetera, over and over again. When they need a boost, when they're in a bad mood, they'll play that play, and it's your voice doing it. That's a very cool thing that I don't stop and reflect on often enough. But yeah, it's very flattering. I listen to it myself, and it gets a smile. Sometimes I'm very critical too. I mean, if I think I did a subpar job on a game, I want to listen to it back right away, because it usually doesn't sound as awkward as it felt.
You nailed it though on Carson Beck with his legs. You went and got that from the nether region. I felt that from that came in from somewhere in the quads, in the hamstrings.
And it worked its way up through the soul, and it came out. No, I think that what you hope, though, seriously, in those moments is that it just happens naturally. You can't predict these things. People think, do you script the lines? Of course you can't script the lines. How do I know he's going to run the ball in the end zone?
Still running!
I mean, that's the last thing you think. That's why I said it that way. The last thing you think is, in a decisive moment, Carson Beck, the runner, is going to win the game. And that's why it just comes out that way, because you could actually see that. If you're a Miami fan, you're probably thinking, run, because you saw the space. He's still looking over here at the receivers on the right side of the field. He's got a yawning acre of grass over here to run to, and he finally spots it and goes over there and does it. And it was a 3-yard run. I think it seemed like it took 20 seconds to unfold, right?
Yes. Also, though, as bad as Miami has felt over the last 20 years, it's rarely felt as bad as toward the end of that Mississippi game, when you're putting your voice on, and Miami is completely unraveling. Chris, I know you got to go. Thank you for the time. Hey, man, don't
you think fans were thinking the same thing when they're getting these personal fouls? Just don't do that Monday night. I don't like to see bad football. I mean, we just hope for a good game, the same thing all the time. I want both teams to hang in there and come down to the last possession. What I don't want to see is injuries, which we've seen too many of, and bad football. Don't go jack the quarterback up. Don't club him in the head because you want to intimidate him and give the other team 15 yards when the other team is Indiana, and we'll say, thank you very much. We're headed to the red zone and the end zone. That's what's going to happen if Miami does that. So don't unravel Monday night, either team.
Chris, good seeing you. Thank you. Appreciate
A pleasure,
your time.
man. Always, Dan. Be well.
Really? Another guest is coming in to predict Miami. Oh, this is early for him. Amin, this is very early for Amin. He got up early to predict Miami, Indiana. What do you have for us, Amin?
Oh, Dan, what a matchup we have. Miami, of course, had the up and down season, but they always were managing to hold and keep up with their defense. The defense has seen them through the whole year. Meanwhile, the guys on the other side, they've got the golden child. He's got a halo. He protects his team from all those untoward allegations. The piety helps, him being, leading with Christ all the time. But give respect. He's one of the very best offensive players we've seen in a very long time. Look, there's a lot of doubters in Miami. The betting lines would confirm that. But I think they're going to surprise a lot of people come Monday night. Having said that, while I do have Miami covering, ultimately, I got to go with the Warriors. Sorry.
That's not the game we were asking.
Oh, Heat
about.
Warriors Monday night.
That's not the game
Miami
I was
Golden
asking
State.
you about. No, I said Miami, Indiana. You heard me say Miami, Indiana, and then you decided.
They played last week.
You decided to go in a different direction. I asked you about the college football game, and you decided to do basketball, and you decided to do a joke, and nobody knew what you were talking about before you held up that Warrior sign, a visual joke for an audio audience.
Yeah, I said Warriors. First of all, I said it out loud. The visual joke is for the visual audience.
I asked you Indiana, Miami. I didn't ask you
Yeah,
about
but
the Warriors.
they said what was going to happen in the Miami game Monday night, and I did all of this research.
That is how we
Look at
prepped
this
him. That's on
notebook.
us.
I thought Amin
I
was
did
a
all
good
this prep.
teammate because the
What are you
Pacers
talking
played
about?
the Heat last week.
I got binders. You think Chris Fowler's the only one who does research? I got research. I do my job. I can't help it if you guys are vague. Hey, who's going to win in the Miami game on Monday night? Well, I'm like, well, surely. They're asking me about Warriors. Heat.
All right, thank you, Amin.
Ball off me, Coach.
Appreciate your time. Appreciate the contribution. I actually want to ask him a basketball question. Aren't you interested on his Ja Morant opinion? Because Barry Jackson and others, Windy, they're reporting that a Heat pursuit of Ja Morant is, quote, highly unlikely, that the Heat wants the cap space for 2028 when there could be good free agents. Miami has made no offer, and it's only a consideration if it's a complete giveaway by the Grizzlies, and that Memphis might want to even throw in a first. What are we doing there? There's no way that he can be had for free, correct?
Well, I mean, it depends on your definition of free. Was Trae Young acquired for free by Washington?
Yes.
Then I think, yes, Ja Morant could absolutely be had for free. If that's a definition. If we're just talking about a couple of good players and no kind of obligations in terms of draft picks or anything like that, that is pretty much for free. He's under contract. He's got 2 more years after this. To me, the prioritizing the cap space in 2028, I think what we've seen over the last 3 or 4 years in the NBA is free agents don't get to free agency. Who's the last free agent that got to free agency? These guys are getting traded before they become free agents, and they're signing extensions. And so the idea of no, I've got to preserve all my cap flexibility to be able to go out in the market and sign somebody. Who's the somebody that's going to be available? If Ja Morant's available for Terry Rozier and Simone Fontecchio, I think you get them and then you figure out everything afterward. I don't think you sit around
It can't be. You come on, guys.
I think it can.
It cannot be that.
I think it can.
No, there's no way it
Dan,
can be that.
we're at a place where Ja is his contract combined with his obviously his kind of attitude issues, whatever you want to call it, and then most importantly, his health. He has not he's not shown the ability to stay on the floor consistently throughout his career. Even when he was playing well, even when they were good, he's still playing around 60 some odd games a year back then. So at this point, they're looking at it as, I got to get up, what's that, $90 million, maybe $120 million of salary off the books just so I can have some breathing room to move things. They got way more than they probably should have for Desmond Bane. I think they can afford to take less for Ja Morant.
Put it on the poll. Thank you, Amin. Appreciate the time. Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. That sounds asinine to me. Can you get Ja Morant for Terry Rozier and Simone Fontecchio? That sounds asinine to me. Like that, it sounds like a joke. That sounds like somebody's trying to make a joke.
I mean, he's making a huge mess right now, Ja.
Zach Lowe said basically the same thing. He included Kasper Siakachonis and a pick swap in his theoretical thing that was thrown out there. Even that on its own, you're looking at somewhere in the middle because it's a lot of money to commit to a guy who has not been on the floor.
I would push back against those reports that the Heat are trying to keep salary cap space for whatever season. That makes no sense. There's literally no such thing in this league anymore, like Amin said, as having salary cap space for free agents. That is not the way. Free agency is every single year, and it's via trades.
It would be trading into that cap space for what it's worth. That's the premise.
That's just it's not the way it works for the most part now. So I don't buy into.
We have to respect the music. Yeah, not ja. Yeah, no habling. Tony has arrived. Are you outside the Rathskeller?
Yes, Dan, I'm outside the Rat right now. Obviously, very much emptied. They're cleaning the tables inside, but I wanted to tickle you here, and I wanted to get some of your stories from the Rat.
Well, that's a lot better than the condition that the Rathskeller I was in. Like that they put some money into that. In a concrete den. I saw Todd Klein throw a hamburger into a guy's tuba who was playing it downstairs, and the tuba made a
incredible accuracy.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was a hamburger. But it didn't look anything like that. Like the Rathskeller's now a beautiful place.
Can Todd Klein enter the transfer portal? We kind of need one next season.
He had Mendoza-like accuracy. He threw from the second floor. Todd Klein threw a hamburger, and it landed in a tuba, and then we heard, like the marching band, we heard it like ruined the note. Yeah, it was great.
Is that the only PG one you could tell? You don't have any other rated
R
ones?
Well, no, of course I've got some good ones, yes, but I don't want to tell those now. And you're not. The place always smelled like terrible afterwards, so I don't. You're not close enough to smell what the Rathskeller smells like after Miami students have gotten done with it. Correct?
No, we're still, again, this is a school, and there's people at college paid a very, very, very pretty penny to be here, so there's not really a lot of traffic foot-wise, so we're still waiting on the Rathskeller to open. I think it opens maybe at 10:30 or 11, so maybe I can have a nice picture of Miller Lite here once the
well, please do me the favor of take us in there, because I remember when I was on the University of Miami campus 40 years ago, and I was at what was their rec and exercise center. It was prehistoric. It was something that would be embarrassing to anybody who thought they were walking into a fitness facility. But what it is now is one of the most moneyed places anywhere in South Florida, because they've refurbished everything on that campus. So I'm looking at that, and I can't believe what the Rathskeller has become, because it was a dungeon.
It's incredible. I got my haircut on campus yesterday. They have a fully operational salon. Shout out to Oliver over at Golden
Miami, the football program is the reason all that money poured into that university, correct?
Yes, at least initially. UHealth has done quite all right for itself, too.
Since?
Yeah, and real estate ventures.
UHealth is pretty big.
Okay.
And the CFP run. That's a lot of money. Thank you, Clemson and FSU. We get to keep all of it.
$20 million. The last game made $20 million for Miami. Tony's now, are we going to stay with Tony as he walks around campus here? It is beautiful. It's beautiful out there. Tony, you got a nice day, too. Yeah. It's cold, but not too cold.
How many dead iguanas? Or frozen over iguanas?
None right now. I was going to say, they get thawed out and they're fine. So I'm going to see, it says, watch out, Sean. I'm going to go, okay, perfect. So it says, sorry, we're closed here at the Rathskeller, but it looks like the door is maybe a little ajar that I can maybe peek my head into it and see. Do we want to send Rose in there first?
That's exactly what I said not to do, just walking into doors without asking.
I mean, okay, so in all transparency, Chris Cody, before I do my hit, is like, hey, buddy, listen, you know what you do to make things great? Don't do that. And I'm like, why? And he's like, well, so you want me to do stuff that makes it great, or do you not want me to do stuff that makes it great?
I just said Dan's done enough damage for us this week, and I need you to just play it cool. That's what I said.
No, I'd like to see the inside of the Rathskeller, though.
Dan, when it opens, Dan, I'm playing it cool.
When it opens.
Clearly says closed on that door right there.
Okay, we'll wait for you.
They open at 11 a.m.
All right, that's fine.
We'll see you in 40 minutes.
We'll check in at the beginning of the club. We'll check in with you.
Okay.
Thank you. Is there anyone there that you want to interview? Anyone there that you want to get seen from, buzz from, energy from, predictions from? Or?
Yeah, let's see. There looks like there's a guy in some sort of sweater there.
Okay,
that may
so
be
no.
Interesting. Nah, not really.
Okay,
Looks like a dork.
All right, good. Oh,
The
well.
problem is we're close to the School of Music. We're close to the School of Music where Sean McGill had his run-ins with the University of Miami. And the problem is here, Dan, with the School of Music, kind of dorks. Everybody's kind of a dork. Everybody's kind of a nerd. They don't really care about the football program. So we have to get to another side of town.
Tony, that's
to
even
be able to,
that's even better. If you're
Okay,
on the UM campus talking to students about the University of Miami football team,
talking to dorks,
and they still haven't forgiven Todd Klein for throwing a hamburger into the tuba of a bandmate 30
They have
years
a wanted
ago.
poster. They have a wanted poster of Tom Klein in the Frost Music Department.
All right, we'll check back in with you. We will see who you have found over there, and you'll be there for the next hour. Really? Really, this is what you guys are doing? You guys, I've told you to get as many friends of the show as possible, and you've gotten Jeremy's brother. All right, Jeremy.
I love this kid.
All right, Jeremy's brother, Indiana or Miami, who do you got?
Of course, Dan. We're Cuban, baby. It's all about the U. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
The greatest
Dale.
of taches.
He's a little more. He is a more Cuban tache, correct?
I love him.
No.
You want to see my PowerPoint?
He did make a whole PowerPoint.
Yeah, I would love to.
Beautiful. All right. The Canes are going to win, baby, of course. Fernando Mendoza, you know what he is? He's a dork, Dan. He's a dork. You know what Ruben Bain does to dorks, Dan? He makes them eat pan con pinga. And you know how we know this, Dan? Because the U's going to win, and because mis abuelos are from Havana, Cuba. Let's go, baby.
Electric.
On this episode of the Alley-Oop, LeBron James actually permeated my besmirching soul, and I shed a slight tear about him potentially being on the verge of retirement.
And also, Ja Morant says he want to go to the Miami Heat, but is Heat culture enough to overpower booby trap culture?
Lock in.
Billy, I think it can be said literally that Miami changed the rules, changed the rule book. They were urinating on sportsmanship with their swagger so thoroughly.
What was that Cotton Bowl after which they introduced that video, the NCAA of all of the celebrations and all of the outward expressions of joy that were now banned from college football, and I think they called it the Miami rule, literally called it.
Well, that game is great because they gave up more than 200 yards in penalty yards.
2 football fields backwards.
But allowed only 3 points in the game. Like, that's really hard to do as a riddle mathematically, to give them 2 football fields worth of penalties for all our celebrations. Like that. And Mike Francesa was on television screaming about what an indignity it was to America.
Wait, watch you look at this. It's terrible. A lot of putts.
Well, I mean, that's he spoke for a lot of America. They were appalled by Miami's behavior, winning that arrogantly. It's supposed to be sis boom ba amateurism.
Again, it's just joy. It's just like, I don't know if it was youthful joy, maybe it was black joy, but there was definitely something that.
Ding, 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 ding,
have I
ding.
hit?
Well, I mean, you got white rule makers and you got black joy.
Yeah.
America would never, that would never happen.
If there was a dangerous drinking game in these interviews, and probably in the documentary, it's the word swagger. That if you did a shot every time, I mean, liver failure, just every time someone said swagger.
I wish you'd replaced it. In fact, I think we should do another cut where we replace swagger with the words black joy. just put Black Joy in there and see what that film looks like.
Just
yes.
changes the whole meaning of the thing.
Did you have one among all of the visuals that you had for this film? Did you have any one of the celebrations that you enjoyed showing more than any of the others? Because I believe it was Horace Copeland who did a backflip in the end zone. I had never seen that before. Now it's been done since. Jesse Armstead making love to the air was something that you aired a lot of. Just
a lot of thrusting.
Pelvic thrusting, like really offending all of California against California by being in the backfield and then impregnating the air in the quarterback space.
I think Randall Hill did like the George Jefferson.
Oh, that's a good one. Well, but him running through the tunnel in Texas where he just ran off.
6 shooters.
Yeah.
Boom, boom. There was another. There was one, I think it was just like some enthusiastic pointing, but it was the source at the time that got me. It was Randy Shannon. And he was so young and so full of just like piss and vinegar.
But he wasn't one of the flamboyant ones. He was the stoic one. He was the professional among them.
But that's why it really it made an impression on me. I'm like, oh, look, there's like Randy Shannon with like an expression. Like he just couldn't help himself. Like he was so excited and he just was just in the moment. And because I've never seen that guy, I don't know, smile or happy. He was so stoic is a good word. But like, I remember I was like, what does the back of that jersey say? It's like, is that Shannon? Holy shit! It's because it was like it was infectious, and I remember that as a kid. I remember we did this documentary for VH1, one of their last rock docs called "The Tanning of America: One Nation Under Hip Hop," based on a book by Steve Stout, and he posited this theory where he drew a straight line from the dawn of hip hop to the White House and the election of Barack Obama, that a generation of Americans who grew up with hip-hop as American culture, the predominant culture of America, it tanned their mental complexion in such a way that it created this groundswell and this acceptance of a black president. And we had these moments called tanning moments that Steve Stout coined. And for me, like in my youth, one of the tanning moments for me was schlepping to the Orange Bowl with my dad. And to me, I was less interested in the sports than already the spectacle. And in an era where I think sports, there was less sports media, where narratives and storytelling was a little less ubiquitous as it is now, that's what I was mesmerized by.
A lot of people were mesmerized by the style, the attitude of these Miami teams. Gang culture and hip-hop artists on the West Coast were wearing UM's gear, ushering in a new era of flamboyant football. Let's take a look at one of the many wonderful things here from the U Part 1 and 2.
A lot of people looked at University of Miami and say, geez, these guys, they're out there somewhere. They're too cocky, they're too confident. But we were confident, we were cocky, and we were very talented.
It's called swagger.
This team lived for the stage. The bigger the stage, the bigger we played.
You couldn't put us on TV. Anytime we knew we were on TV, every eyeball on the set was going to get a show.
Touchdown, Miami! Showing you why they're number one.
Our play was kind of mocking what you thought traditional football should be.
It was almost like a circus.
When I first came to the University of Miami, the TV series Miami Vice was very popular, and I wanted to play on that. That's why we took the swagger that we did.
The big games, turn the dogs loose. When we played the Florida States, the Notre Dames, the Floridas, he would come in the locker room, he would say, look, man, I want to see all that, the high five, the dance, and he would actually go through the motion and try to do the dances. We're looking like, Coach, you need to work on that, bro.
Let's go like a bunch of crazy men and play some games. Oh, yeah.
What it was a controlled bravado.
Jim Johnson used to say, what you see on that football field is one of two things. What I coach you to do or what I allow you to do.
And he had complete control from day one. What we said in the street, don't get it twisted. He had complete control.
He should have coached games with his middle fingers extended throughout the game. I mean, because he absolutely loved some of that stuff.
He encouraged, he's like, look, enjoy yourself. This is college football, have fun.
Some people might look at it as crossing the line. We don't. We look at it as like teetering.
I'm not gonna say it went overboard because I loved it. I love watching those guys back in the late 80s and 90s. They would talk the talk and they'll back it up and they go out and play and show everybody how good they are.
He's in. Horace Copeland, he didn't do dances. He did backflips. Randall Hill, he did the George Jefferson.
That's what the fans pay to see.
If you don't like us dancing, then don't let us get in the end zone.
Monday is a company holiday and it is a country holiday, and we are doing 2 4-hour live shows. We are doing a show in the morning. What are you laughing about, Roy?
Which country are you talking about, Dan?
Well, Martin Luther King Day is a national holiday.
You would think so.
Not for long.
Well, I wanted it to be for this company as well, but now I am doing, and we are doing 2 4-hour shows, one in the morning and one live streaming at night. I hope Dominique stops by. I hope a lot of our friends stop by. I've told you guys here recently that there are a handful of people that are doing football exactly the way that I want to listen to the content, the nutrients and the entertainment. Chris Long, Chris Sims, Mina Kimes, and Dominique. Dominique is popping up right through the Super Bowl, after the games on Sunday night on his YouTube channel, right after Rams and Bears end Sunday night. And he's going to do that every Sunday night for the rest of the season. It's hard to do that live, and he does it exceptionally well. He is joining us now. And the first thing I wanted to start with him on is I just wanted to play him that Sean Payton sound and just get his thoughts on Sean Payton, who's back at the top of his game. Sean Payton ain't got no time for reporters.
Sean, having Green linebacker this game, his ability to attack downhill and in the run game, just how big is that, the timing of it?
You want him to attack downhill? Is that your, like, what do you know about attacking downhill in the run game? You don't know. All right, that's right. Have him attacking downhill. It's good to have a healthy Dre Greenlaw back in the game. Yeah.
I mean, I kind of love it. Like, I'm normally, so Charlie, my co-host, gives me a hard time because he, like, calls me Captain Empathy because I, like, start feeling sorry for people all the time, no matter what. In that case, I would understand why somebody might feel sorry for that reporter, but I don't. Like, Sean Payton just gave him the perfect opportunity. Like, if you are prepared for that, obviously some of us, or all of us, in certain situations do a little bit of, like, fraudulent, like, use terminology to try to sound more interesting and important than we are. But right there, that is an alley-oop. They never asked you a question. He gets a chance to demonstrate his ball knowledge. But instead of doing that, he shriveled up and we all laugh at him and call Sean Payton a bully.
Well, he's not wrong when he knows a great deal more than all of us about attacking downfield, but physically he doesn't. Like, he doesn't know more about attacking downfield than you do.
Well, I mean, he said attacking downhill. We're talking about, like, Dre Greenlaw, linebacker. Not downfield. That would be throwing a deep pass. He's attacking downhill. Like, I know you to be, like, a fraudulent Canes fan. I don't know you to be a fraudulent football guy. Like, I thought you knew ball. The man said downhill, and he was talking about a linebacker. We're talking about fitting gaps, baby. Taking on fullbacks and shit like that.
All I heard was his arrogance. And I just love when the coaches are arrogant about physicality when they're not the physical ones.
I mean, game recognized game, right? I like that sweater, though. It's cute.
You look a little bit like my father. Are you going Are you going for my father's look fashion-wise?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, just generally, like, isn't the whole country, like, going very Miami vibes? Like, although there's so many different Miamis. And, like, growing up, like, University of Miami football was, like, the biggest representation of Miami outside of, like, Scarface for me. And becoming older and understanding what the University of Miami is actually like always kind of rubbed me a little bit the wrong way, because you're rooting hard for, like, the brash black kids who have interesting stories and dreadlocks and are, like, being overconfident and taking on the Catholics. Like, you're rooting for that. And then you want them to win. Then you realize the people at the school don't really love them in the way that we love them. And nobody else at the school is like that. It reminds me a little bit of, like, Georgetown. I live down the street from Georgetown now, and I think that's always, like, a running joke that all of us thought Georgetown was a HBCU because of John Thompson and all the black players on their team. And then you go on that campus and you're like, they are the only black people here. And they got kente cloth on their shorts. Miami's the same thing. Like, what Miami what the rest of the world thought of Miami was, like, Edgerrin James and Warren Sapp, Michael Irvin. That's what Ray Lewis, Ed Reed. That's what we thought Miami was. I mean, Jeremy Shockey. That's us. We're looking at Miami. That's Miami. And then, it's actually a bunch of Jeremys. Not Shockey, the other one.
Since you're in both places, which one is more disparate? Miami's football team and Miami's campus, or Dikembe Mutombo, John Thompson, Allen Iverson, and Alonzo Mourning representing Georgetown?
It's easy. It's obviously Georgetown, because Georgetown had, like, not just the black players, but they had the black coach who was very aggressively and publicly black and made it part of his mission. Like the kente cloth, that's just so absurd. They had uniforms that had African prints on them. It has Georgetown. If you don't know anything about Georgetown, look it up, man. It is not at all like the campus was built by slaves. And then they had all these basketball players show up and not get paid to work really hard to make a lot of money and make that place even more impressive than it actually is. But I think they tried to like give some money back or something. They're trying to make amends. Is Miami doing that? Miami taking care of all these Miami neighborhoods that they get their best athletes out of? I don't know.
You do know.
Oh,
So-
you show Mike.
You do know.
Well done.
That's not
Video
fair.
crew.
You're asking Mike for reparations? Like what? How is that fair?
I'm not asking anyone for reparations. I know the University of Miami, and this happens. It happened at Maryland. When I was there, the basketball team was winning national championships, and we were winning conference championships and getting blown out in the Orange Bowl and dominating Tennessee in the Peach Bowl. And you know that it's a lot easier to get money from the state. It's a lot easier to raise money from boosters, and it's a lot easier to make renovations. And I went to a public school, so all that stuff is harder to get done. It's easier when people think you're cool and you're good at stuff. So like everyone who's benefiting from the University of Miami playing well is not all. Just make sure you look out for them too, which I guess they're getting paid now. So that's cool. Shout out Malaki.
We have a number of different things and people and personality here that are weird. And I hope you haven't heard this sound. You listen to our show, so it might undermine it. But
Not this week. I don't listen this week.
well, you just have a lot going on. So good.
No,
so tell me.
I don't listen this week because too many guests. And I don't want to be one of those guests. I don't like all these guests. I wanted you guys to talk and say stuff. Come on, Zaz, be funny.
So play
I'm saying stuff, player.
Play this sound.
See, I mean, we just talked about appropriation. How you going to throw player out there while dressed like a Cuban when you are none of that?
Well, what's the problem?
How you love that?
What's the problem?
It's uncomfortable. Dan loves uncomfortable. Now I know where the sweet spot. Dan loves when he get a little tension, baby.
What you know about looking awesome?
Nothing, man. I don't know nothing about looking awesome. You do look great. You look like a movie villain. Like a cheap movie, though. This is not a lot of money put into this movie. You do look like a low-level crime
That is
boss.
such a good call from Dominique that you do look like a great criminal for a movie that has no budget to get a good criminal.
It feels like if there was like a movie where the kids were like the unlikely heroes, kind of like Spy Kids or like Three Ninjas. Like you look like a villain that's supposed to look scary, but kind of friendly, like really threatening to like 8-year-olds. Like that guy right there, we can't trust him. He's the bad guy. Spy Kids 8.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Does Zaz look like the villain from a student film? I want to play this sound for you, and I want you to guess who it is. There's been, I promise you, no doctoring whatsoever to the sound. I'm not making this up. This is someone in our universe who was caught while sleeping.
Beautiful. It's beautiful. That's an incredible deep snore from an obviously overweight man, which there are a few of them that we can choose from on this show. I'm not sure who I would point to, but one of them, I don't know, it could be in the studio maybe.
Let's play it.
Clearly
I want to keep playing until he gets it right. So play it for him and let him take guesses, and let's do it that way.
No. Roy looks like he can sleep pretty good, man. Roy is like a strong sleeper. It's
I'm going to do
rumbling
this
in
with
there.
you until you get it. So go ahead and
Okay.
pick. Go
Okay,
ahead.
all right. Dan. It's Dan.
It is not. Incorrect.
It's fake Dan.
It is not. It's not Danny Benitez.
Zaslow.
Stunt Dan. It is not a bad villain from a student movie. No, incorrect.
It's definitely not Mike. Mike would never be called like that. Is it Billy? Where's Billy?
Incorrect.
Anybody seen Billy? Where's Billy at? Huh? Is Billy
Incorrect.
there? Oh, that has got to be Stugotz. That's my man Stugotz. Where's Stu?
Incorrect.
Anybody seen Stu?
Incorrect.
You up in there anywhere? No. Is it Jess? It's Jess. That's
Look how shocked he was. He was absolutely, he looked into the camera. He's like, that can't be right.
I was just doing a bit. I was just going to name all the people who used to be on the show more often and aren't anymore. That's what I was doing then. I just got lucky.
What do you mean?
He would have guessed for 10 weeks straight before he got it if he had to get it right.
Hawk? No, not.
The games this weekend, Dominique, you were very loud about saying the Jags were clearly better than the Bills and would clearly beat the Bills, and I thought that you were right until you were wrong.
Yeah, I mean, the Bills dunked on me, and they deserve it. Congratulations. I still, which this feels like a Dan Le Batard move, but it's also true that I still kind of feel like I watched that game, and the Bills were not actually better, even though they won, but they certainly deserve it. They got the job done. They have, like, it's a lot of smoke and mirrors on their defense with disguises, which is super impressive. I think McDermott deserves a bunch of credit for what he's done on that side. And Josh Allen played a different type of awesome playoff game where it wasn't like the amazing plays as much as it was just mistake-free and mature. And that team deserved the win, and they won. I was dead ass wrong, though, about them not being able to compete with the Jags because I thought the Jags were good. I got fooled. I started believing the hype like Tony. But I think...
And like me, Dominique, I've managed, this is really hard to do, on two teams this year, to be totally right about them and wrong twice about them because of how the result went. So I told Jacksonville and the Chiefs, I got it right with what I was saying at the beginning, and then I changed my mind and trusted your analysis on the Chiefs, and I trusted your analysis on the Jags.
Yeah. Don't do that. I mean, stop trusting my analysis on anything. Trust your own analysis. I mean, the Jags won like 8, 9 in a row, and they went into Denver, and I think that was the turning point for me when I was like, all right, I have to ignore the fact that they're the Jacksonville Jaguars and understand that, like, before the Patriots became the Patriots, they were terrible all the time too. There can be a turning point for a team, and I watched them go into Denver and destroy that very good Broncos defense, and you saw Trevor Lawrence play awesomely, and I think that was the point where I was like, all right, got to take them seriously, and they played well after that. And then they played a team that was very flawed but had the high-profile quarterback, and I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for, like, a look at us, we're really here now moment. Like I had at home, and I thought it was going to work, and they ran the hell out of the ball. They couldn't stop him from running the ball. And honestly, like a lot of people's criticism is they should have kept running the ball, but they were moving the ball through the air too. They really couldn't stop them, but got an interception in the game, and it cost them at the end. And I just think it's also fickle, and you'll see that with any of these teams. When we do these coaching decision things, you can go down the track record. I was thinking about this the other day with John Harbaugh, how if Lamar Jackson doesn't slide to the back of the draft that year and they aren't able to trade back in and get Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh's fired then. Then Lamar comes in and wins 6 in a row and gets John Harbaugh 7 more years. And you can do this for every team. There's like these little single plays that change the trajectory. You could do it for Miami in that A&M game where it's like they won on the final drive, and A&M was 5 yards from sending it to overtime. They only put up 10 points in that game. We have a whole different conversation about Mario Cristobal right now, deservedly so or not, if that doesn't turn out the way it does. But now, like, Cristobal could get a contract for $1 zillion into eternity because of what he's done with this program, no matter what happens with the game. And you could do that for all these teams, but those moments matter. When you have a player like Josh Allen, those moments fall on your side more than they don't. And I hate to tush push. That was also get that out of here.
Dominique, you surprised with Tomlin?
That he stepped down. I think I am a little bit surprised, but I also think when you look back on this season, it felt like a last dance type of thing. They had that super old defense that they were paying a ton of money for, and then they went and got Aaron Rodgers, an old quarterback. It kind of felt like Tomlin's like, all right, I'm going to make this last try. And I know no one's reported that there's anything other than a mutual parting of ways. And the Rooneys suggest that they were surprised by this, but that seems crazy to me. They kind of had to know that was coming, right? Like if you're Mike Tomlin, you coached there for 90 years, you don't just show up and say, I'm out. Like this conversation had to be had at some point. They kept it under wraps. More credit to them.
Why would they not tell the truth about that? Why would the Rooneys lie about being surprised, or why do you question that part of it? They don't want to be seen as pushing him out?
No, I'm not even sure that they pushed him out. He could have said at the beginning of the year, this is my last run, or they could have said that you have to go if we don't have any success at the end of the year. I don't think that I think it's likely that he decided that he was on his way out. I just find it hard to believe that days after a 19-year career at that organization and a loss in the playoffs, he's just like, guess what? Y'all got to find a new coach today. It just feels odd to me. I guess it doesn't matter one way or the other. I do think Mike Tomlin walked away and they didn't fire him, but I hope the Steelers fans are ready for what's coming. And I think they are. I don't think they're fools. I think they know that it's going to get a little rough. My man Damashek. I'm a pro Damashek guy, though. I know we have to take sides on that. Pro Damashek.
Football America every Monday and Friday. He also does an exceptional job covering football differently, the way that Dominique and Chris Long and Chris Sims and Mina do. Let's play this sound from comedian Dan Soder, childhood friend of Mike McDaniel. Listen carefully to Mark Normand and the way that he's pretending to support an interest in sports in the background.
But he'll get a gig, right? Somewhere else?
Absolutely. In fact, I think he's better off because I think, and listen to me right now, I think it's a shit organization. I think it's ran by an old that stabbed Mike in the back after he told him he was going to be all right for another season, and the Dolphins. And honestly, Miami as a comedy town. When having a friend that's an NFL coach, you listen more when people talk about your friend. And Troy Aikman shits on McDaniel in a way that I'm like, he doesn't like Mike.
Whoa.
And me and my friend Chad, who grew up with Mike, were like, Chad was the first one I was like, I bet Aikman had something to do with it. And then I was just like, Troy Aikman, looking like white Jay-Z, quarterback that was falling off. Tua stinks. But listen, I think McDaniel got fired because he tied himself to Tua and they lost. That's a sign of my friend being loyal. So, like, as a friend, I go, yeah, he's stuck with him. And I hope the next team he goes to, the quarterback goes, well, this guy's stuck with him, so I believe in him.
Yeah.
So I'll play for it. I just hope McDaniel goes and wins 10 Lombardi trophies and then shoves them up the owner of the Dolphins' asshole one at a time. And I hope the Dolphins never win another game.
Woo!
You're stupid. Your old logo's better. Your new logo looks like a penis jumping through a Nuva ring.
Hey.
Your fans don't know ball. A couple of them at the stadium, it was like crazy watching them not know when to cheer on third down.
Jesus Christ.
That whole organization.
I thought Mark Normand was funnier than Dan there, and I think Dan's the funniest.
And me and my friend.
Felt like the responses stopped matching up too. Like it was just like the things he was getting like more and more like progressively more intense responses to were not the things that were shocking. It felt like after he said we was gonna jam trophies up there, he was like, oh,
hey,
yeah. then he said something else a little bit more benign. He's the fans don't know to cheer on third downs. Jesus Christ.
Jesus Christ.
That was delayed. That's for the shoving it up people's butt. That was when you should have Jesus Christ.
Picked a great day to bring Claire to the office.
You're stupid.
Damn.
Sorry, Claire. I mean, that's how I would be like Mark Normand if I were on the hockey show. Like I would be the best teammate I could, but I don't know what you talk about. I'm like, yeah.
Your thoughts on when you gave us some of what you find interesting about Harbaugh. What are your thoughts about McDaniel's firing and the fact that the Dolphins weren't able to even get close to anywhere with Harbaugh?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you talk to any of the owners, or excuse me, any of the coaches, they'll say that ownership is incredibly important. I don't know, like, what type of owner you guys have there in Ross, but it does seem
a bad
like
one,
a lousy one,
a bad one.
It seems like he's bad in a different way, though. Like, he's not bad in the way that I think most coaches are concerned. They're concerned about, like, commitment and resources and, like, patience, I guess, and understanding when things are happening and when they aren't, and, like, how involved you're going to be. They want the owners to be somewhat involved, but not the final decision maker. So, like, that's a big question, and I imagine that they talk just the same way that any of us do. And if you have enough leverage, you're not going to be one who's going to sign up for something like that. I think that's probably why it appears that Harbaugh is going to sign with the Giants, because that feels like an organization that despite the fact that they haven't hired all that well, has a history of at least like staying out of the way. The ownership does, and that seems attractive to some of these teams. I think also having an owner who is going to be accused of some of the things that Ross has been accused of, like like trying to go behind his coach's back, like that's. If you got other options, that's not somewhere you're going to go. And then on top of it, the story of him walking in and firing him, like while he has already promised that he's going to keep him around, like that stuff. If I were a coach with some sort of leverage, I'm not going to that place or not going to work for that guy.
I have not heard the concussion stuff talked about the way that Darren Waller talked about it on Johnny Manziel's podcast. Listen to this and tell me what you think.
But I was watching most of the training camps. I'm on the sideline. I'm watching this man throw darts every practice, bro. Like, it was just like, what the am I watching? Like, I'd never seen the anticipation and the accuracy out there. So it's like, I think from my standpoint, the skill set for him is still there. Where I think like maybe some of like the disconnect comes from, like seeing it translate. I think there might be like there could be some like trauma still stored like in his body from like what he's gone through, like with the head injuries and stuff. Because there's this book called The Body Keeps the Score, which is like the #1 book about like trauma. And they talk about how trauma was first with like war veterans and like what they went through there. And like they'll come home and they'll see like a car sitting by itself in a grocery store parking lot, but they're in their body and their brain will tell them like that car has an explosive in it when it's just like a car sitting at fucking Publix or something. And so I think like I can notice him like trying to make things happen like in the game, like he's trying to pull the trigger, but it's almost like his body and like his system won't
allow him to do it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like if there's a way for him to find some healing in that regard, I think the skill set is definitely still there, like you said.
Dom?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it's hard to like say that you know or believe something like that. I think that you can point to his experience and understand that there could be some issues as a result of the concussions, but like also like some of the concerns that he had were like concerns that some of the reasons why he's not playing well are concerns that were made about him at the beginning of his career. So like I'm in no position to evaluate how much trauma he's holding in his body and how that impacts the way that he plays. Like there are tons of players who've had plenty of trauma who go on to play just fine. And I'm sure there's plenty who have had minor issues that have sidetracked them altogether. Like it's super hard to say. I think more than anything, what you worry about for not just two, but all the players is like their future generally as a result of the hits to the head. Cause like, while those were really sensational hits that we saw and we remember, like the science doesn't necessarily support that those are any worse for you than like just the repeated fact that O linemen and D linemen bang heads together, have subconcussive episodes multiple times a game throughout the course of the game. So I understand that Waller's talking about a different thing. He's talking about like an emotional or mental response. He's not necessarily talking about the impact of like the deterioration of the brain from the tau protein that's in there as a result of like concussions. He's talking about just like he's kind of scared, I guess, for lack of a better term, that he's like antsy because of how violent those experiences were. Like I certainly can't hazard a guess on that, but some of his poor play recently looks like some of his poor play early also.
Let's speed him up.
Dominique, not a small thing. Sam Darnold, questionable with an oblique injury. This whole game hinges on him playing a clean game. Do you see this popping up its ugly head?
Yeah, I think Ginger Cuz, they're trying to protect him in all ways possible. They're not going to ask him to do any more than he has to. I think the 49ers defense is beat up to the point where I'm not sure that Sam Darnold's oblique injury is going to be an issue, and that Seahawks defense is insane.
Dominique, you know about that 12th man?
Yeah, I know about that 12th man. 12th man doesn't always matter, though, unfortunately. That team can lose at home. Honestly, that defense might look even better when they're on the road and they can communicate. But yeah, the 12th man will certainly help.
Dominique, why does it seem that so many people are shying away
Hold
from
on,
picking
hold
the
on.
Broncos?
I'm sorry, Jeremy. Cut the music. My man Zaz has been having a rough-ass week. You don't get to say much. You get to stammering and stuttering, and you got a chance to ask a question. We're speeding up a guy like me who has real football information, and you said, you know about that 12th man?
Short and sweet, dog.
Okay. Yeah, I know about that 12th man. All right, get my music going again. Let's go back to these questions. I'm sorry, Jeremy.
It's all right. People don't really let me speak here. Dominique, why does it seem that so many people are shying away from picking the Broncos?
Yeah, I think we have this thing where the team that has a bye, we forget about them, and we also just saw Josh Allen play an incredible game. And I think it's fair to like sour on the Broncos a little bit because we think of this as a defensive-centered team, and their defense has fallen off in the last several weeks. It hasn't been as good as it was all season long. But with a week to prepare, I think Sean Payton's going to design some big plays for Bo Nix, and that's the other reason. Like, we ultimately always kind of fall back on how good is the quarterback for a good reason. And in that situation, you got Bo Nix versus Josh Allen. So I think that's part of the reason why people are sour on it. And it's a decent matchup for the Bills. They aren't outmatched in any way.
Faster.
Dominique,
Okay.
will the Bears season end on Sunday?
No.
Yes. What? No, or you? Yeah. What?
He said faster?
Yeah, you're.
Yeah.
But he can't say
I say
no
yes.
and yes.
I say yes. I say yes.
He
I
can't
say
say
yes.
no and yes.
I say
You're
yes. I say
asking
yes.
him
I
to
say
be.
yes. I
like,
say
He
yes.
quickly changed his mind.
Stafford's fingers.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, he's playing incredibly well this season. The cold doesn't matter. He's from that division. Historically, he's comfortable in that weather. I think that team will be just fine, and they run the hell out of the ball, so they're going to be fine. The finger's not going to matter.
Who should the Dolphins hire?
Brian Flores again. Bring him back. He was doing a good job.
Why is Matt Nagy getting so many interviews?
He's staying close enough to Patrick Mahomes. You're going to get a lot of love, but I do think retreads are not necessarily a bad thing. Like, it sounds like a bad word, but it does mean that you've had some experience and you've gone away to understand what you've done wrong and how you could come back and maybe do a better job.
Is CJ Stroud any good?
Yeah, C.J. Stroud in that game is an absurd thing to watch. C.J. Stroud has incredible throws in that game. If you take out the 5 ridiculous fumbles, he's playing great. I know how stupid that sounds.
You can't say that.
Pretty stupid.
No, I can't say if you take out the 5 ridiculous fumbles. You can't say if you take out the gunshot Abraham Lincoln really enjoyed the play.
I mean, that's a fair point. However, the point is, most players who have 5 ridiculous fumbles also throw interceptions and miss open targets. Like, you watch C.J. Stroud and you're like, damn, that's a good throw. Like 4 or 5 times in that game, you're like, damn, that's a good throw. That's a good job navigating a pocket. And then he just holds it to the ball too long and tries to make a pass he can't make.
Will Mike McDaniel ever be a head coach again?
Yeah, he'll definitely be a head coach again. I think his ability to design a running game, no matter who he has, is going to make him a attractive offensive coordinator once again, and someone will give him another shot.
We mentioned C.J. Stroud, but the Texans' defense, are they going to take out the Patriots?
Oh, that Texas defense is insane. I think the question is, can Drake May hit deep passes against that defense? As good as it is, it's like middle of the pack for stopping the explosive plays. So that's the question. I think that defense is... If that defense was like the Cowboys defense or like a more marquee team, like, we'd be losing our minds for how good and how fun that defense is to watch.
Yes or no, Drake May is the league's best deep passer?
This year, yes.
I have a Drake May stat for you. Drake May, this is courtesy of Ian Harrod. Drake May is second in the NFL in EPA per dropback when working from a clean pocket. But when you can pressure him, he is also second.
Yeah, he's still second, but that second is worse. It's not as if his play doesn't fall off. The play falls off. It just still keeps him at the top. Like, his ability, I think, to navigate inside the pocket and also his ability to turn those pressures into explosive runs really help him in this game. But going up against the Texans, it might be a little tougher because they do this cool thing where they just collapse the whole pocket around you and there's nowhere to go. Or they'll beat you around the edge and no one's really ever open. Those corners are special.
He is live on Sunday, right after the Rams and Bears, and Sunday every week the rest of the season on YouTube. It's the Charlie Kravitz Show with Dominique Foxworth. Thank you, Dominique.
Wait, Dan, we need a pick on this game before he gets out of here. Miami or Indiana?
We need
Come on.
a pick. Miami or Indiana. From the guy who just brought you no, yes.
I'm definitely going to go with Miami. I mean, I feel like I'm a part of the show in some ways. Like, I love Miami, and I got so much more, Dan. At some point, I'm going to send you some notes. I got ideas for segments for your show, all right?
All right, well, join us on Monday. We're doing 2 shows on Monday. We're doing a live stream. We're going to be here all day on Monday having fun. Dominique.
Never mind. I want Indiana. Change my
It's
mind.
good to see you. Okay, there he goes again, changing his mind.
No yes.
Another no yes. Look at the look on his face there when he saw that was indeed right, that it was Jessica who was snoring that way. That is the face of a shocked person. Now, he said that's also the face that he made when Harbaugh was let go, because he said he was shocked and not surprised. This looks like shocked and surprised. This is Dominique Foxworth learning that Jessica snores like a lumberjack who's been working 7 days
How did you
without
guys
sleep.
get that audio? Like, what was? Did she fall asleep while on the Zoom? What happened?
Lehman betrayed her. Her boyfriend betrayed her. Did she fall asleep like that on the Zoom? You think, you think that's how hard we're working them at Metal Arc Media?
She fall into a deep slumber while working.
I tried to think of the way that you guys could get that. That did not feel like a crime. That was honestly, I was like, how do you get someone snoring like that without committing a felony? So I thought maybe she, I don't know, had a long night.
See you later, Dominique. Again, the Charlie Kravitz Show with Dominique Foxworth on YouTube /ESPN, youtube.com/ESPN Sunday nights. I saw during that segment the complaint that Dominique had that some of our fans do, where they're like, I don't want guests. I don't want to listen to guests. I want to listen to the show. And what I noticed during that, that's a knock on the door. That was very loud. Another friend of the show is here, Nick Wright. Who do you got between Miami and Indiana?
I like Miami plus the points. I like Miami on the money line. I like the fact that Miami, a couple weeks ago, played a team damn near identical in talent to Indiana and Ohio State and controlled the whole game and won. I think Miami wins their national championship at home, and Mike Ryan becomes the most insufferable person in sports.
Second most.
The thing that I was beginning to say is that Mike Ryan clearly wasn't listening to anything that Dominique was doing, because I saw him the entire time. He was just refreshing Kane's Insight for new information. I was watching him. All he's doing is University of Miami stuff. So when anyone around here is talking about anything that's not University of Miami related, he has zero interest in doing his job, doing the show, paying attention. What did you learn? You learned that Indiana's right tackle is a problem, correct?
Yeah, that's a weak spot that you can attack. Miami's played a couple of teams that are really good at picking off the opponent. Notre Dame, but they had a new DC at the time. Miami played a relatively clean game against Notre Dame, but SMU and Louisville, they can turn the quarterback over. Now, Miami's playing a bit of a different style. They're doing work in the middle of the field. However, Indiana has neutralized teams in the middle of the field. I think this is a great matchup. I think it's going to be a really close game. I'm a little worried about that. I'm more concerned right now about how the portal's going for Miami, because this was not how it was supposed to go. So I think anytime you're playing for a national championship, you really want to win it. But I think you got special players right now on defense. I don't know if Miami can develop players to that level. I think Miami's probably going to take a step back next year from an overall talent perspective. And if you don't have that quarterback position addressed, you may very well finally win an ACC, but you may not have the same kind of CFP success that you're having right now. So I really want to win on Monday.
Obviously, you have skin in the game now, all right? But 23 years ago, the last time the Canes were in the national championship, did you care emotionally like this?
I mean, I was devastated after we lost. Yeah, the Miami Hurricanes were my favorite team back then, but this is something different. If this ends with Miami and probably lifting the national title, yeah, it's the greatest sports victory in my life. I cared. I care too much probably, but
no, but you still cared very, very much.
Yeah, okay. I feel like you have a very small hand in it, in kind of trying to make people realize that the standard wasn't adhered to.
Not that small. You've invested in all the ways that a business person and a fan can invest, and lest we lose sight of perspective, because we've never done what we've done this week, where we do a week of pregame. For 20 years, we've prided ourselves on we don't preview shows, and the reason that we're doing it is because of the size of this game. And do not let it obscure that no matter what happens from here, the University of Miami has already had a tremendously successful season that has fixed everything that was wrong. That doesn't mean that the transfer portal will not hurt them next year, but all of the questions and critiques that have been formed around this show have been rebutted by the last 3 games, this coach and this team. And the other thing that's in play here, this was also in play in 2001 as Miami tried to distance itself from some parts of its past that were more polarizing. It's fine if you don't think Miami is Cinderella. It's fine if you don't believe in an underdog story. But you simply cannot say that there's anything about this team other than maybe the polarization of Carson Beck that I don't totally understand that's unlikable about this Miami team. There's nothing that this Miami team has done. Nothing. Like, you don't have anything reputationally that you can stick this Miami team that would make it representative of some of the worst parts of Miami's program and city stereotypical past. This is a likable football team.
I'm not so sure, because you sample how the nation talks about this team, and I think, look, in this sport, 10 seeds, I know there's a playoff expansion that hasn't allowed for it, but teams that have faced the kind of adversity and defeats that Miami has endured this season, they don't get an opportunity to play for these. It's a hugely improbable story, even though they are a program that is rich with tradition. This should be talked about as one of the great Cinderellas of all time, and yet they're facing one of the losingest programs of all time. This is, if you want to tell me the world is a simulation, you look at this title game and you see Cubans everywhere in a sport that never features Cubans, it being played in Miami, Miami somehow being in it when they were, as Chris Fowler mentioned, 100-1 before a committee said, all right, we're going to change our minds on head-to-head mattering, and Indiana being in it. This is insanity. It is pinch me type of stuff, and I hope that the game lives up to it. And I think the playing styles of the two teams does lend itself to being one of those super dramatic games, not super easy on the eyes, not points galore, but the game literally hanging in the balance on every snap. And I think that's an amazing place to live in.
Dan, you know about that nail butter?
I do. Zaslow, you know about that broadcaster who doesn't say things correctly?
Didn't you want to know how that? What were the kids doing?
I think I'd be into this game if it wasn't my team playing in it. If you just put in another helmet that had the same kind of adversity, that had the same kind of 20 years of struggling, like if you put USC in there, I think I'd be as up for it because it's such a great story.
Sounds like the Roadrunner trying to start running.
Folks, let me say before we go, we want your boldest take of the week. The hotter, the worse, the better. Call 305-486-GOTS. We want your boldest take. Coming up on today's Mystery Crate, we are celebrating Cuban heritage. We're playing dominoes the entire time. Rose is here. We go through the top 10 pages of all time.
You remember that?
That was one of my favorite parts of the whole episode.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chris also learned what kind of water heater he has.
Yeah, that's true. Some homeowner problems, some honer problems.
Get a tankless one. We learned how fat I am.
Yep.
What else did we learn?
We had a best of 7 series.
We had best of series
terrible.
And a special sound. All right, we give Roy a guessing game.
Oh,
okay. That honestly, my favorite part of the
new
episode.
game show called Who's Snoring?
Who's Snoring? I love
Who's
that.
Snoring with Rose, apostrophe. Rose, bring us home.
Who's snooze?
And you're going to find out who won.
Who won?
Mystery Crate.
Check it out.
Hi and hello, my fellow football Americans, and welcome to the NFL Divisional Round. In advance of the national title game in Miami on Monday, we have a lot of pro football hash to settle. We have Maurice Jones-Drew joining us to help break down all 4 of the big games, the frigid weather in Chicago, how that's going to impact the pretty boys from SoCal. We're going to talk about the pressure on Josh Allen and even more pressure on Sam Darnold. We'll figure out what's going on in the coaching carousel. A lot to talk about. Make sure you join us, Football America, on Friday and every Monday and Friday through the football season, which is almost over.